Welcome.
Hello. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to Sunday.
Welcome to the best day of the week. The day full of sun, and the day full of anime. The day full of therapy sessions.
Hange's Therapy Stew is
podcast.
my alternative.
The day full of Beyond the Basement, the complete
Breakdown podcast.
Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum.
And we are breaking down because there was an emotional episode.
Indeed.
And
We need
Get
a
your
jingle.
tissues, guys.
We need a jingle. Don't you think?
oh yeah,
We say
Do
the
have a
Breakdown podcast, and it goes ba-dum-bum-bum-bum.
Beyond the Basement, the complete
Breakdown podcast.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll work on
okay,
that.
all right,
We'll
we'll
work
work
We
on
got to
it.
work on it and find it in notes.
Night of Elena. No. This is
No.
in my notes. I wrote
Never.
Night of Hange's Therapy Stew. Is what I wrote.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Therapy
Yeah.
stew. Okay, so we're on episode 84. Oh yeah, I'm Eric. If you don't, if for some reason you're watching / listening for the first time on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, welcome to the show. Glad to have you.
Hello.
Late to the game. You can go find the archives online. I'm Eric. Over here we have
Rachel.
and over here we have the.
Peter, welcome.
Welcome.
And my question
the
to
show.
you is, do we look like how we sound?
That's a great question.
Probably not.
I feel like it
Maybe.
happens more with music than with like podcasts and stuff. But like pretty often, I hear a musician and I imagine them in my head what the singer looks like, and then you see them and you're like, whoa,
Yeah,
not
that's
even close.
90% opposite. 90% I feel like, they never look like, but there's been a couple people who I was like, this is exactly how I think you sound, and they looked exactly like it.
You know who looked like how I thought he kind of looked like? Weirdly enough, it's just strange because he's a weird looking guy. He's actually Rush Limbaugh. Rest in
Oh,
peace, but,
really?
like, yeah, I saw him and I was like, you sort of look like I pictured you, like a cartoon character, actually.
Yeah,
It's
Reese
like-
Roper looked just
Reese
like I thought he
Roper,
sounded
yeah,
like.
okay,
and
yeah.
Jason Upton looked just like how he sounded
Yes, Jason Upton
like. But
for
there's
sure.
not many other people, I feel like. So
Everyone else.
if we disappoint you with our visual appearance, I'm sorry.
I'm not sorry because I don't care.
And in case you are just listening, I want you to know that I'm 6'2".
Lies.
Jacked out of his mind.
Yep, very large.
So he has muscles on his earlobes. He's so
Yeah.
jacked.
Yeah. Trayvon, we'll work on it. Give us some vocal coaching, and we're going to get our jingle down.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so we're
oh,
on.
wow. Nate
What?
says that you're spot on his mental image.
I do
Oh.
not look like he thought, which is I hear that often, actually. Believe it or not.
It was John.
Most people tell me that all the time. They're like, "You look nothing like I thought you would when I heard your voice," and I'm like, "I don't know if I should be insulted or feel grateful."
Should I? How do I respond to that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, at any rate, we're on episode 84, therapy session. I'm sorry, Night of the End, also known as season 4. Wait for it, episode 24.
I actually don't know anymore.
I have done this every single week for the last like 4 or 5 weeks, where I don't get that version of the episode count.
Someone
correct.
in the chat will tell us.
The thing is,
the
I must be
correct
getting
number.
it right because when I post it, like I notice I'm always sequential. So anyway, we're just gonna go with 24. If
Or
it's not
season
that,
5, episode 17.
you can punch me. Yes, you can punch me later.
I don't know.
Season 5, episode 7, I think.
Sure. That makes more sense
Yeah.
than what I said.
Okay,
By a lot.
close enough. Okay, so let's do a quick recap before we do. If you are listening on Spotify or
Yeah,
Apple,
25.
whatever, give us a 5-star review if you are enjoying the show. That's actually really, really stinking helpful. And also, if you want to watch the show, you can check it out over on YouTube, which of course subscribe and like all that jazz. And then Sunday nights, 5 o'clock, we're here and doing it live on twitch.tv/beyondthebasement. So just a reminder. Okay.
Episode 25.
It is 25?
Yeah.
I said 24. I was wrong. Okay.
You were close.
I was
You're
close.
always like one off. I feel
Yeah,
like.
I was close enough. Okay, so to give you the refresher, if you're listening to this after the fact, this is the I don't know what intro this needs besides this is the therapy session, Hange's therapy session episode.
Hange makes some potato stew that is chocked full of truth.
We get
feel like
get a
this-
cool scene at the beginning with Jean, where we kind of see his like mental like
We
okay.
see that Jean is also crazy, just like Reiner. He lives in a fantasy world.
It's a
This
flashback.
this is a show I feel like I would watch. Like, you know how like sometimes in life like something happens and they make a reality show out of it. Like again, try to replicate like the magic.
Yeah, they do. Somebody does like a documentary and they're like, oh wow, let's do
this again and again. Yeah, exactly. So if you take this setting, right, you get some enemies together around some stew. You get Hange and you get Papa Browse.
Oh.
And you like, all right, you guys, I'm gonna make you some delicious food.
Uh-huh.
You're gonna have to stay here, otherwise all your loved ones are gonna die. Like this is a recipe, for some connection, And so this could have been like, instead of the whole path sing, what if Eren and Zeke had just some therapy stew?
Therapy stew.
Yeah.
Sat down with some good coffee.
Okay, but Elena needed some of that stew when she was like 4 years old because holy crap, that child needs some help.
I'm saying there's more on the island who could use some of the Flock. We don't know what happened to that guy to make him the way he is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to like force. Like,
Flock
I'm
needs
gonna have
Jesus
to waterboard him with some therapy stew.
I have this. Listen, the way Flock is, I just like I kind of imagine him as coming from like a upper
super
crust,
privileged home.
like privileged. Yeah, dude's actually rich. Like he's actually from the interior.
He never wanted. He's from the interior. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
He's just super privileged.
Just thinks he's like it should be in charge of everybody just because. Yeah.
Had some idealized idea of what the scouts were going to be, and then the reality just broke him.
I could be wrong about all that, but I don't. Anyway, all right. Sorry. Recapping the episode. Okay, so we get Jean's little flashback thing as to why he agreed to partner with Marley and all them, and then we get this whole big long scene, which is basically the entire. Oh, sorry. I guess I should recap this part. When talking to Jean, the genocide is wrong line. We're obviously going to spend some time on that, but that's like the Hange line.
Genocide is wrong. Yes.
I'll be damned if we find any way to justify it. Is the great Hange line. So she also calls herself. Isn't that where she says I'm still the commander of the scouts?
Mm-hmm. She does.
Yeah, but before that, she's like she actually tells him the whole I'm not the military's falling apart. I'm not your superior anymore. Anyway, we'll get into all that. So then we get she's making stew in the woods. We got the whole gang together. Okay. Keep in mind we've got how many Titans do we have there? Five. 6? 5.
5, right?
Yeah. Cart.
You
got Jaw.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Armor.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Female. You've got Colossal.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
5 Titans.
4 of which are on the side of Marley, but details.
Okay, wait. So what are we missing? There's 9 total. Eren has 3.
Eren has the rest of them.
Oh, and he has Zeke with them, right? Okay, all right. Yeah, all right. Fair enough.
Zeke is fused to his body right now.
So they get into this long conversation about justice, and basically this episode is kind of like gets on into all the like emotional, philosophical, moral issues that the show's been dealing with for the whole time up to now that we've been talking a lot about. So I'm actually kind of happy to get to this episode because it's a fairly well done summary of like all the different like moral questions, like conundrums that people and whatever folly, I guess you could say. So we get to go through a little bit of Marley / Eldian history. They kind of talk through can you actually kill Eren if the time comes. They talk through
who the frick Elena is.
Yeah, they talk about Elena, why they kept her. And she's like, Elena dishes the dirt on everybody.
Yeah, Shay just gets chucked around.
We open up on the whole Marco scenario, which actually causes Jean to go to fists. Like it really does like add like this whole episode. I'll give my opinions in a second. Anyway, to finish the recap, it ends with them going to they're on their little journey with the Cart Titan reporting back. Apparently, she's a good spy. I mean, that's what she does.
That's her superpower.
Yeah. And so she shows back up to them on their little convoy with the horses and stuff like that. And it's like, hey, they already made it to that port. We're kind of screwed. There's Jeagerists all over there, and that's
anti-Titan.
Yeah, with anti-Titan gear, and I don't know if she saw this, but the show shows us with Flock having a gun to Azumabito like he has her hostage, and it just.
Someone please make a meme out of that, please.
Okay, I can't remember who it was. Somebody in our comments. All right. No, we'll get to that. Somebody in our comments was talking about like you need to understand Flock's like character arc a little bit, like give him a little more like time. So I actually do want to talk about that. It was either in the comments or it was an email. I can't remember.
I think it was an email.
But we should at least talk about it because every time I see the guy, he gets worse. But I do want to understand him. Okay, so let's start with Jean. He has one of the most incredible,
it's a beautiful
daydreams that I've ever seen. Like the sound effects and stuff like that. He's like, I'm gonna have a prime spot in the interior, and I'm gonna drink the finest liquor
all day long.
And it's like the shot of him on the porch. He's got a little scruff. It actually looks kind of badass like that.
Yeah, kind of.
And he's got his glass of whiskey. That the sound effects with the ice. And I was like,
it made me thirsty.
Yeah, I was like, that is the good life. It was like a nice day.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a super chubby, cute baby inside with his wife.
It looked like Paris.
Baby was giggling. It did. It gave me very strong Paris vibes.
Yeah, the Western, like the good life. Now, okay, the reason I want to comment on this is, again, so many World War II like vibes and things in this show. One of them is that the post-World War II life was supposed to be this, right? Mm-hmm. And in this world, and Attack on Titan, the post-rumbling life is also, it's the same thing. It's like after war, there should be this like deep, long-lasting like peace.
Yeah.
That's the hope. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because...
Isn't that why everyone goes to war in the first place? Is for the hope of that peace?
Yeah, is that after the fact, the victory yields you prosperity and peace. That's
well, there's a settling that happens after war, or should happen after war. One is the enemies go, well, we shouldn't try that anymore. You know, all of our people are dead, and you know, we've basically been like destroyed. Mm-hmm. We need to like rebuild or whatever. And the victors go, all of that sacrifice, you know, was worth it to get to this. Let's protect this with everything we have and not just go send our sons to die again. Like, that's what should happen.
Yeah.
A lot of times it doesn't. But yes.
So the other reason I bring it up is because I need to point this out that, okay, so back to reality for a second, post-World War II life. So in some places, that type of reality did begin to manifest, right? You did. So and this is just, I mean, I know this is a very specific war, but this is the case where like sometimes it does actually happen where people, okay, the guns actually get laid down and post-war prosperity can happen. Okay, happening in the United States, the kind of 2 decades plus like following World War II ended up being very financially prosperous. Like it opened up a lot of opportunity. People were done with war and they were like ready to move on. But the thing is, that's not the only thing that happened, because post-World War II was cleaning up Europe for also the next 20 years. And not just Europe, but then you have freaking Berlin and you have the Cold War, and it's not like...
They're still finding mines.
Yes, seriously. So my point is to say that like in the aftermath of like the world's most horrendous war, to some extent you had some peace in some places, right? Which even that takes a long time for that to like come into place. But where the war actually happened, that's not the case. And when it really comes down to it, think about it. The Korean War was 1947, 46. When did that start?
Yeah.
We're talking like basically right afterwards.
Just almost
There's another armed conflict, and then you go from Korean War, you got Vietnam, like I said, you had the Berlin airlift, like you have all these like conflicts, the Iranian Revolution. Like it's not like the world is actually fully like at peace.
It's just
Europe doesn't fight each other for a while.
Yeah, it's just that
don't recently, but
most people could live in relative peace without the war affecting their everyday lives.
Yeah. But my point is to say that like it's not that. So here's what I'm saying is wrong. What I think is wrong with Jean's like vision of like his future is that in his future there's no infighting, there's no civil war, there's no fight for power, there's no, because there's a vacuum, there's a vacuum of power. And Flock may think he has this thing on lock, but does he really? Like the rumbling happens, it goes down, the island is actually fully secure. You think ain't nobody stronger? Think they're gonna be bigger and stronger than Flock? What if somebody sitting around actually has some like Titan juice left and they're like, oh yeah, check this. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, I think we're already seeing that civil war is probably next for the island because it's already starting. There's people who are true Jeagerists, and there's people who are kind of pissed about how he dealt with things because half their family has been stomped on by a colossal titan.
Correct.
So
he has this imagination.
Everybody's living in a fantasy world, apparently.
But he like, here's what I'm saying. It's not wrong for him to have the dream. I have that. We all should have that. You don't want to dream of that. But what I think he's getting wrong, and I think he knows that he's getting it wrong, is that is not, this is two things. Number one, that's not actually going to be the case. Like, that's not actually going to happen. You're idealizing a scenario that isn't going to happen. And the second thing is, he said in the previous episode, like, the souls of those ashy bones, or whatever, the voices of those ashy bones wouldn't let me sleep at night. Mm-hmm. Like, all the men and women who died before.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
So, all right. He hears the knock on the window. It's Hange doing typical Hange stuff. John, it's me. I'll meet you outside. And he's
hopefully
like,
your neighbors don't think I'm a weirdo for doing that.
I didn't hear that. No, they cause me all kinds of noises. It's fine. We're friends. But he's like, I didn't hear that. I didn't notice that. I'm just plugging in my ears. And then again, it's like I don't speak Japanese, so I'm kind of inferring this just from the text, but it sort of sounded like what he was saying here is he says if I stay or if I just stay put and I don't notice, then that prime spot in the interior is mine. And then it's like a dot, and he's like, if I stay. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm kind of like Englishifying that, of course, but that's sort of what I hear him saying. And I'm like, yeah, because you know you're not gonna. He's just, his conscience is bothered. So he goes to talk to Hange. They're like out in like the rubble, you know, again, the world has to be rebuilt. This is a real thing. She says, okay, Levi's in bad shape. He's not fighting anytime soon, which I think we've already talked about that too, that like the dude's missing fingers. I don't know if he ever fights again.
I wouldn't put it, if it was anybody else.
Looks like he might even be missing an eye. We're not sure yet.
Right. If it was anyone else, done. But Levi Ackerman, he's going to strap a sword to his leg.
He'll Irwin it, and he'll just like fight with missing bits.
He'll bite your legs off, right?
Irwin did fight with one arm. So there's that. In fact, Irwin fought with one arm in the fight that he lost the arm in the first place. So there's that. Ugh. We just started watching Lost, and so I'm traumatized.
You started watching Lost?
Yeah, we're like 4 or 5 episodes in.
Isn't the beginning so good?
First season is great.
It's nutty.
And then it sucks after that.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. But like, there's a lot of graphic, like bloody. He's a doctor, and it just. Sorry, I don't do well with the fake doctor stuff. Like in real life, it's an emergency. I can like handle myself, but when I'm not into the blood. Anyway, okay. So Mikasa tells me you guys have done well. We're joining forces with Marley. This is like Hanji's kind of informing. She says we're joining forces with Marley, and we're doing this all in order to stop Eren. And then she gives the line: genocide is wrong.
Yeah, I love that she has to just put that sentence out there.
No one has said it in the show up to now.
Right.
This is the first time.
But it's all what we're thinking. All what we're thinking is we're doing these moral conundrums. We're like, okay, well, yes, it is wrong to kill thousands of people, but all those people were attacking the island, and and so we're doing these moral gymnastics, which is something that we should all do. We should also always wrestle with what is right and what is wrong, and is it worth, especially when someone's life's on the line.
Yeah, and am I on the wrong side of it? Is a legitimate question. Almost 100% of the time.
Am I justified in doing the things that I'm doing? Is our country justified in doing the things we're doing, and so on and so forth? And so, all these people are doing all these mental gymnastics and these moral conundrums, and they're kind of going through these mazes, and Hanji's like, genocide's wrong, period. It doesn't matter what your justification is. You cannot guarantee every single other person on the entire planet hates you and will kill you. You're not justified in doing this.
Yeah.
And so no matter what, genocide is wrong. And then John counters with what we've always been saying. Okay, yeah, but what happens if we stop Eren? All these people are still going to hate us with the Willie Tiber speech. Like, they're still going to stir up the rest of the country. They're still going to come after us. Like, we're not solving any problems just by stopping Eren. Yep. Other problems are, we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. And Hanji's like, genocide is still wrong. Even if all of us have to die in order to stop the world from dying, genocide is still wrong.
And almost like genocide isn't even the right word for it, because that's really just supposed to mean like one group of people, not all the other people besides you.
Omnicide,
it's like,
I think, is what the Sherlock said.
I think it's more like, omnicide is more appropriate.
So this is okay. The reason I love this, we've kind of all. There has been a version of this that we've talked about on this show beforehand, but this episode just puts the fine point on it, which is, okay, Isayama intentionally put you, the viewer, like he does this thing where like you start the show and you're like, yeah, Eren, go, and like, yeah, fight the Titans, and you're like, oh, Titans are people, like, oh, it's kind of,
but they're still bad people.
But they're still bad. Like, okay,
but
like,
the only way to set them free is to kill them. Okay,
but it still feels like that. That's a bit of a quandary, and then you're like, yeah, Reiner, like Annie was the bad one because she infiltrated, and you're like, oh yeah, Reiner and them. Oh no, we really hate Reiner and them. And then like fast forward a little while later, and you're like, oh, they were child soldiers though. That's kind of. And then you're like, oh, Marley's the bad one because they do all this horrible stuff. And then you get back to like the island, and you're like, whoa, you guys could do some messed up stuff too. And like he leads you on this journey through the show to get you to this point in this episode where you have to stop and look around and be like, all right, yeah, everyone's sinful. Like
Yeah.
all have sinned, all have fallen short of the glory. Like that. This is making the point. Again, it's just like so many things in a fictional show that I'm like, this is true. It's like what reality really is. Listen, dude, as far as things go, you done stuff really wrong, and you're lying to yourself if you think that you haven't, and you're lying to yourself if you think that the wrong things that were done to you always justify anything that you do next. And the thing is, like, we'll get to, I guess, of course, the Elena's bit, but like, the finger has to be pointing in all directions at the same time, and like, that's kind of the whole, like, that's the whole point of the show, is to get you to this specific point. Now, here's the thing: is everyone's gonna have to look back. So I think with Hange, especially right here, because remember the last episode, she was like, "Yeah, I'm no Erwin," basically, because she did the torture thing.
Yeah.
She's looking at she's kind of the first.
Are on the same boat.
She's a good leader because she's the first one to look back at her own wrongdoing and say, "Okay, I've not had a moral code, or I broke my moral code before. I can't actually change that." Which she says later on. She's like, "Why are we worrying about the past? Like we literally can only all we can do is keep moving forward."
Yeah.
Like, but that's actually the right attitude, which is you have to forgive, forget, and correct. That's the only thing you don't have control over yesterday. What you have control over is what's going to happen next. And I feel like Hange being the one to say the line, "No, it's just wrong, period, and I'll be damned if we do anything to justify it." That's
someone had to say that just a simple truth is doesn't matter what's been done to you. Eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. Like it's not justified. Do not repay evil for evil. It is not justified, right? You're not going to defeat, the wickedness just by being just as wicked as they are.
Yeah.
You don't need to become a monster to fight evil. You need to become something better than the monster.
Yes. Okay. There was a show I was listening to. He was talking about this exact point. There's this, it's a poem. I think it's a famous poem or something like that. Doggone. All right. Somebody can Google this and find it out. Except for I'm not even going to quote it right, so you're going to have a hard time Googling this. But
ask Jeeves it, okay?
Ask Jeeves.
We'll get to the bottom of this.
Okay, but the gist of the poem, the line that's the famous one is that it is difficult for men. Okay, for a man to become a man, like he has to overcome like the beast that he is, and that like the source. I think the quote is something like the source of most of our pain and troubles is the process of overcoming becoming a man from a beast, or transforming from a beast to a man, because it's actually easier to live as our beast selves, right? Just going on our revenge and
primal emotions,
primal instincts,
do
and
whatever feels right to you,
lust, and do whatever you want in your own heart. And that's the opposite of, quote, civilization. That's what that word means, right? Is to civilize is to then to civilize requires energy, it requires discipline, it requires self-control, it requires self-denial, which is something like our culture, Western culture, has lost almost completely, is the fact that, like, in order to get in really good shape, you have to actually not eat the candy bar, and you have to actually get up, and you actually have to do something about it. You have to deny your beast self, your carnal like instincts, the most natural thing about yourself, in order to rise above and become something greater and become something better. And so remember, Armin's like, oh, in order to like win this fight, somebody has to be willing to become a monster and put your humanity aside. And in this episode, it's almost like the opposite. It's like, no, somebody has to be willing to rise above the monsters and become a man and civilize and actually like grow that spine. So like I said, I feel like Hange being the first one is kind of interesting, that she's sort of the leader, because she calls herself, she says, I'm still the leader of the Scouts. Yes. Or the commander of the Scouts.
Yeah. And she then has to be retrospective. She has to like look back, and she goes, how many of our comrades died not even knowing that there was humanity beyond the walls? Mm-hmm. Like, so many people have died. Like you're saying, the first season, it's all just us versus the Titans, right? Good versus the monsters. Mm-hmm. And then it's, wait a second, the monsters are people. Well, that's justifiable. There's a few bad people. Then there's an entire bad, nation out there. Then it's all of us are bad. There was no specific devils. We were all devils, right? Yeah. Niccolo nails it. He goes, listen, all of us have fallen short. Like, we're all, at some point, we've all done something that's not perfectly justifiable. When we'll justify ourselves, while we excuse our own sin, while we point out the sin of somebody else, right? Yeah. But we need to take the log out of our own eye before we go looking for specks. We need to make sure that, like, we are looking back like Hange's doing, she's looking at all of the people, all the scouts, right? We see Mike, we see Marco, we see Petra, we see
Erwin's in there, of course.
Erwin, yeah, of course, on the forefront. We see all the people, man, and these are years ago. You know, like
it's so sad. I'm telling you, the in memoriam thing was the idea we missed out on because a lot of people died in this show.
But she looked back and she goes, all of these people up until this point haven't just given their lives for nothing, and how could we look back at them and say something along the lines of like, well, as long as we kill everybody and the island's okay, that's fine. They wouldn't have said that. They wouldn't be like, no, that this is okay, it's justifiable. There has to be something more. And that's where we're at.
Okay. I know this is an extremely random analogy, but I got to give this one because I just keep thinking of it. Okay, so I got this friend, and he makes a piece of himself, gets rid of the pain of being a man. Yes, that's it. You got it.
It's a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of deal, actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it gets rid of the pain of being a man, right? Because there's pain. It requires self-discipline. It requires effort and the pain of getting up early in the morning to go do stuff. It's a great quote. There's a lot to be said about that. So, okay, my friend.
Charlock in the clutch, always.
Always, dude. That's why I have you on the team, dude. Okay, so my friend has this advice he's had to give. He's one of those people where I don't know. He's just the kind of guy people go to for advice. He just is that type of dude. Of course, eventually he became pastor and stuff like that. He literally became that kind of guy as a career. And so people will come to him, usually young adults come to him and be like, I like this person. What do I do? How do I ask this guy out or girl out? Whatever, whatever the case may be. And he would get this question from time to time, which is, I like so-and-so, and I think they like me back maybe even, but they're dating somebody else, right? And, of course, of course, I'm not going to go in there and break it all up, or I'm not going to make them cheat. We're not trying to do anything like that, and whatever. But what do I do? And there's a million versions of this, but his quote always got me. This line always kind of haunts me. He says, okay, here's the thing. Imagine without even persuading doing any persuasion. Imagine you're interested in somebody and they break up with somebody else, with whoever they're currently dating, in order to be with you. Okay? So you got what you wanted. However, you are now with somebody who has a history of breaking up with you, of breaking up with the person they're currently with to go then and be with somebody else. So you're encouraging, or what you think you want is for somebody to do something kind of bad in order to achieve your end, but now they have a history of doing that bad thing, and is that the kind of person you want to be with? Right? So this is a legitimate question. And so I feel at the show, this is kind of this is, again, it's kind of where Hange's at a little bit. It's kind of where everybody's at. Okay, what I wanted was to, quote, save the world. What I wanted to do was the right thing. And even with with Eren, Eren's got the Titan, he's going to become the monster for us, so on and so forth. Okay, but now Eren has a history of being the monster, and is that really the kind of person you want to be your savior? Because you think you're getting what you want by encouraging somebody, just do a little wickedness now, and it's okay because you're doing the wickedness for the right reasons, right? You're just doing the evil thing for the right reasons, but you've now established this parallel morality where doing the wrong thing for the right reasons is the right thing. It's
a twisted morality, and how are you ever going to find the straight and narrow way again? Once you put a little bit of red in with your laundry, right?
Yeah.
It's all going to become
pink forever.
It's pink forever.
Oh, dang.
You can't untaint what you've already tainted. You can't go back. And so Hange's looking back at all these things.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I think we need to look forward. We need to recognize the simple truth. Genocide is wrong. We're not going to justify it.
And Mikasa just immediately goes, I'm in. She doesn't even let her finish. Yeah, I'm in. We got to stop Eren.
Hange said, Hange goes listen, I'm not your commander. I know military, it's a mess or whatever, but I'm asking you as a friend, will you? I'm in. Yeah. Okay.
She's oh. And Jean's the one who has to be convinced. And that's where we have to go into the whole, remembering the scouts of yore.
Yeah, Mikasa goes, I have to stop Eren
before he kills any more people.
Yeah, she's not. I feel she's the magic of Eren maybe is gone. It comes up a little bit later on, but she goes, no, I have to stop her.
Nate the Great. Exactly. This is exactly right. Mikasa showing more initiative and stronger moral center than Jean this episode. Love it. No, it's true.
Okay, but that beating for Reiner that Jean gives him is 4 seasons in the making.
It was needed to happen, and he kind of knows it.
That's why Reiner just lets it happen, and then he's like, John's like, I'm not gonna apologize, and he's like, that's
the kid
okay.
who knows he needs to get spanked, and is like, okay, Dad, okay, I'm ready. Like, okay, take it easy, but I'm ready. Okay, so I want to bring up the second time she says the genocide is wrong line.
Yeah,
is actually while Jean is going. Yeah, but if we, whatever, this will stir up the world more than Willie Tiber's speech, and like this island, like basically if this romance doesn't happen, like we need like more time, but we've wasted all this time, and like he's doing the thing that everybody else is doing. What you're talking about, the moral gymnastics, he's going back and forth, and that's when she slams her fist on the table. Hange doesn't get emotional all that often, only over Titans and.
Only when
she's
fangirling over scientific things.
Yeah, that's about it. Slams her fist on the table, and she's like, it's wrong. Always and forever, it's wrong. And I'll be damned if we justify it somehow. I said this while we were watching it, but it's in the reaction or whatever, but I was like, I need to get that tattooed somewhere with this or the I'm a Scout Forever.
That was when you said that.
Okay, that was the line. Okay, so she's like, sorry for raising my voice. Like, and she kind of blames herself. She says, like, it's just kind of my wishful thinking that got us here in the first place. I just wanted to live. I wanted to be happy. But I'm still the commander of the Scouts. She says that. And
people still look to me.
Mm-hmm.
The people who want freedom, the people who want to give their hearts, they still look to me. And and this is the truth of every leader everywhere. Like, people always are looking around at us, and we have to, with our lives, point them to a better way and not towards the same messed up cycle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She says this great line too, because when we were doing the whole like in memoriam, like all the dead like soldiers are around her, and she says, I'm sure that none of them would say that the freedom of the island is all that matters.
Yes. Yeah. She says that, she kind of puts it in quotes like, oh, the freedom of the island is all that matters. Like, no, none of them would say that.
Yeah.
And Erwin is right there at the forefront of her mind. Everyone always thought like, no,
and
Erwin
he never saw. Remember, he's one of the ones who never actually got to know about what's beyond the walls.
He didn't know it was in the basement. He didn't know it was out beyond the walls. He knew that there was enemies out there, and he was putting 2 and 2 together and saying, what's the true enemy? But people, I think Charlie pointed this out, people are always questioning, because Erwin was such a guy to like get things done, would he have been okay with Eren's plan of the rumbling? Well, this episode, I think, is clearly pointing, no, he wouldn't have been okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hange's not okay, and she's like his disciple, right?
Yeah.
And Levi's not okay with it, and
They're
he was like
2 main guys.
And now the ghost of Erwin is like still pointing us to a better way, even from beyond the grave. Akistan66 said, I found it really interesting how Flock and Armin kind of represent and took after different aspects of Erwin.
It's true because they're both sort of inheritors of Erwin in a way.
Armin has the sacrificial idea parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Flock has the by any means necessary, no matter how many lives are lost for the mission aspect of Erwin, right?
Dang.
Erwin had to make those really hard calls, and
right.
Flock saw that and called him a devil, right?
Uh-huh.
And then early on in the anime, when Armin is looking at Annie, he goes, wow, like, you have to almost like become the monster to be able to like, you have to like be as vicious and as wild and as like violent as they are. And so we would think initially from those statements that they're both on the same page, but they're both not on the same page. They're both on diametrically opposite pages.
Going the other direction.
And so you think that Erwin is kind of like the grandfather of both of them, right? Erwin is both like, he made the hard calls that he had to protect humanity, but he also was willingly sacrificial of his own life. Armin just represents, he's still got the lament of last season or last episode. He still got the lament of like, I can't live up to Erwin, and my life was spared so his could be taken.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a good sacrifice, but I'm going to remember him. I'm going to live in his memory, and I'm going to sacrifice my own life for the betterment of humanity. And he does so by willingly offering himself to Connie's mom last episode, right?
Yeah.
Who has Flock willingly offered his life from?
Yeah, never.
Nobody. You know what Flock's done? He's using power and violence and tyranny and authoritarianism to wield his fanaticism and to make everybody go along with a plan they don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
That's the opposite of valor. That's the opposite of virtue. It's the opposite of something that's good. And so what is the ultimate culmination of both of these thoughts? Well, it's It's both. It's we need to make hard choices for the good of everybody going forward. Absolutely. And that includes laying down people's lives. However, it doesn't include forcing them at gunpoint to do what you want them to do because you know the greater good. It includes you laying your life down, you sacrificing your own self, you leading the way with one arm screaming, no, this, follow me, right, unto death. Come on, let's go, because this is the true and right way, and this is going to save the most amount of lives. And you convincing your people, not forcing them to go, right? You go to like wartime propaganda. The Russians handed one guy a rifle and one guy ammo, and they said, we're going to shoot you if you come back this way, right? Versus the opposite, you see, I'm sure that happened in the Allies, but the Allies were like, this is for freedom, this is for our country, this is for rescuing the people who are, right? And so like you have these two different opposites, and there's a truth you could find in both ways, but one is the better way, and the better way is laying your own life down, laying your own life as a sacrifice, and not just becoming the monster, but transcending the monster and saying, I'm going to go do these bad things. I'm going to go fight and be violent and be crazy and be wild and kill somebody, which is not a good thing. I'm going to go do that thing in the name of what's behind me, right? I do not love the sword nor the arrow. I love it for what it protects, right? It's Lord of the Rings quote. I'll quote it better in a minute. But anyway.
No, that's pretty good.
That's what Faramir says. It's like, I don't love the sword for its sharpness or the arrow for its brightness, or I forget what he says. But I love that what they defend. And so in order to lay your own life down, you do have to lay aside your humanity, but you're not doing it to become just as wicked as everybody else. You're not laying aside your virtue. Your virtue is being represented by your own sacrifice.
Dang.
I think.
Maybe I'll be more like Erwin, I guess, to some extent. Okay, so we get to the... wait, really quick. Somebody did put an interesting comment here. They're talking about the scene, Frazzles is talking about the scene where Pixis and Erwin are talking, and Pixis actually mentions a legend of a villain who unites the world. We've actually kind of mentioned this before. If you know what episode that's in, Batman. Let me know.
Is it the one where they're both in the carriage?
I can't remember.
I think so.
I can't remember where that is, though.
I want to go back and watch it because I know what you're talking about, but it's a little gray. I'm like, it's somewhere in there in the ether of the show.
Is it right before or after they overthrow the government? So it's got to be season 3, right?
I'm assuming it is.
Yeah.
Because that's where we saw most
of
them.
But this is the kind of the 3D chess, theory that we've had.
Yeah.
That Eren is uniting everybody to become the bad guy the world needs so he can save everybody, which is virtuous.
Yeah.
Which is what we're talking about.
It's the Batman...
Pixis is talking to Eren.
Pixis is talking to Eren.
Erwin in the carriage. They just captured him, I think, or something. Or he had just revealed himself as a Titan, I think.
Season 1?
It's like all the way back at the very beginning.
Wow.
Deep
cut.
Oh, dang.
Good comment. Let's go, squad.
Okay.
Yeah, if that's the case, I think that maybe he is playing the 3D chess.
That would be crazy.
Dude, that would be such a mind trip if this has been Pixis' plan the whole time.
Well, Eren picks it up in season 1 and goes, yep, this is it.
That'd be crazy.
Or Eren's like in Pixis' mind and he's like, you got to tell me right now. Tell me to lay my life down, And like, remember like Eren in the Paths?
Right.
Telling Pixis to tell himself.
Oh my gosh, what the frick?
So she says episode, or someone, Sean,
yeah.
not she, sorry.
Episode 111, yeah.
When he gives the epic speech on the wall.
About coming together to
it's
defend
right
Trost.
After the government overthrow.
Okay.
When Pixis, okay.
Okay, yeah, he talks about the Titans becoming the common enemy and all that.
Interesting.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and watch it. I'm actually almost there. I started like rewatching episode or season 1 and kind of watched like various parts of it. I just didn't do it like chronologically. I probably should have, but I'm gonna go back and watch that one. Okay. Sorry, so moving on. So we get to the scene. We get to the woods. We get to Hange, the Hange stew, therapy stew, and
what kind of truth serum do they put in this stew? Everyone just eats it and just starts blurting out like, "Yeah, I killed this guy," and sorry about that.
Listen, she is like a dope scientist, so maybe she actually pulled one off.
Or is it just the potatoes are all reminiscing about Sasha and feeling bad, man?
No, I think Hange has like gotten some Titan knowledge that we don't even that we know not of. She's friggin' bringing it forth. She's like, all right, everybody, take a little bit of this stew. It'll solve all our problems. Okay, so she's making the stew. And
sodium pentothal in it.
she's making this stew, and everybody's glaring at each other. And I definitely predicted this. This was not a hard one to predict, but I was like, okay, here's the thing. They're all going to join forces here.
But first,
but first,
Sean is going to kick the hell out of Reiner.
You can only join forces after extreme violence. Okay. This is how they knew they were Irish, just because you have to beat up your friends.
They eat
before
some
they
stew, and there was some fighting, and then
there was
some
potatoes,
drinking.
and there was some drinking, and there was some
potatoes,
fighting,
drinking, and some brawling.
They
They're
are.
They're all
Irish.
Irish.
We knew it. I freaking knew it. Whatever.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. It's
Yeah, that's right.
What kind of whiskey these people drink? I just gotta know. Is there like a
whiskey.
Island Devil whiskey that I can try? Is that
Someone make that immediately.
what
Go brew it up in your kitchen.
Somebody did make a wine. Am I wrong? Remember we looked at somebody
they
produced
made
an
the
actual
wine.
wine with the label. I was like, okay, but I don't think I want to drink that. It's like
I don't want to drink Zeke's spinal fluid.
just in case.
I would definitely drink some Island Devil whiskey. That'd be great.
Somebody, if you were a
Surprisingly,
Japanese,
that's what the Romans called the Irish, by the way. The
Island
Island
Devils?
Devils.
Those, yeah.
okay, if you happen to be listening and you are a manufacturer of fine Japanese whiskey,
Oh, yes. We will.
Suntory or
We will
Mikasa
be
or
your
something like
sponsors
that,
forever. Like,
Yeah.
we will rep your brand.
please. Okay, she's making the stew. They're all mad at each other, and Megath does Megath things here. The man's a
John
little
and
emotionless.
is just pissing everyone off in this episode. First, he
No.
goes for Megath.
I think John was justified in everything he said.
I'm not
and did.
saying it
Pretty
was
much.
wrong. I'm just saying Jean was like the hothead loudmouth this whole episode.
Yeah. Yeah, we need it.
He
we
really
need
is a
John.
lot more like Eren than he would ever care to admit.
I don't like the fact that Magath is like soundly beaten in war.
Mm-hmm.
He gets beaten in Liberio.
Yeah, the
He
man
comes-
does not have a
True.
lot of W's at this point in the show.
Him and Reiner are
He
rocking
is
him up.
so proud for someone who's had the absolute
think
piss
about
beat
this.
out of him from the beginning.
He's wrong about everything. He's beaten. He's strategically outmaneuvered. Liberio is
Yeah.
a disaster. They come to the island. They lose that. That's not good too.
no
now here,
humility in this man at all.
here Hange comes to him and is like, "Listen, we got to save the world. We have a plan, And Hanji's like, "I'm going to sacrifice my own people in my own island to
Yeah.
save the world." And you'd think this guy to be like, "Here we are. We're all coming together because all of our visions didn't work out so well." He's like, "Oh yeah, you freaking island devils." I'm like, "What do you have to prove right now? Who are you trying to prove? Like what?"
The
kind of a jerk.
propaganda has been so deeply ingrained into his brain cells that he just cannot let go of it.
Okay, but I've been like wondering this for a while now because you guys know if you're listening to the first half of season 4, I was like intrigued by Megath because he's not. They spend a lot of time with as far as the show goes. We spend a decent amount of time with him as a character, and obviously he's like a strategic mind, he's a strategic thinker. I don't know that I would call him quite the Erwin of whatever, but he is like a military commander. And the thing is that
He couldn't lace Erwin's boots.
yeah, correct. But I'm
I'm
saying
just
like,
throwing that out there.
No, you're right. No, you're right. I agree. I'm just saying that
He's like Premier Zachary.
I kind of want, yeah, right. I want to understand more of like where this dude is at because I agree. He's been beaten a lot. He's been wrong about a lot of things, but there's a certain like understanding or like I don't know how to describe it, but the dude actually sort of like gets like he gets it. He gets has a certain level-headedness about him that's kind of always present and is always there. And at the very, very least, even if like he has no redeemable like character qualities, the dude has been around in like all the conversations and in all of the like highest places of Marley, which to me is still a little mysterious. I still don't know everything I need to know. And yeah, anyway, I'm just curious about him, that's all. So he asks everybody's...
We've seen his character development a little bit too with Gabby, the way he kind of does care about her. He's not just a soul soldier. He feels emotional, especially when she gets kicked. He feels something. I feel like that kind of wakes him up a little bit,
and when
too.
she cries, he's like, "Oh, maybe I should be more humble."
And even the fact that he's agreeing to work with them right now, I mean, that's not a W per se, but it is a good, probably the correct
it's a step
move.
in the right
Yeah.
direction,
Yeah.
perhaps.
I thought his strategy would like outwork his programming, but he's like begrudgingly helping save the world, like, come on.
Come on, dude, get with it.
Yeah.
So he says they get in this exchange, him and Jean, and he's like, what changed your mind? Like, basically, like if you let Eren's plan succeed, you would get paradise. You would have what you're looking for. Am I wrong? And he says, we would have stopped them from coming in contact together, Eren and Zeke, if you hadn't helped him. Now, okay, as soon as he said that, I had to like think really hard. I still haven't Help me out here, Chet. Is that true?
I think so.
Yeah.
They may not have been able to fully stop him because no one can see the future, but think about the reason that the cart missed Eren and missed like the cart didn't kill Zeke and him because of Mikasa and Armin.
Yeah.
She was having to fight off Mikasa and Armin. They smoked the flock crew, no problem.
Right.
But Mikasa was there at the end with Armin, right? And then Jean and
they were protecting Eren
and Connie. They go and they help Reiner in that fight.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly because it was just so intense and so crazy.
Well, I just remember them coming up from the stairs and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're here to help Eren," and they're like, "Whoa, I don't know if Eren's the one who needs help." Remember?
Yeah, but they do.
Yeah. You're right. They do help.
Oh, remember
I'm just trying to say,
Thunder Spear Reiner, don't they? When he's trying to go after.
Reiner would have stopped him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I just wanted to make sure that was actually the case, that he wasn't just like saying that to like throw blame around. But he's okay. You're right. No one can know the future, but they did help.
Yeah.
And so he has a legitimate question here, like what changed your mind? And the reason he's asking is because he doesn't understand that were not aware that like he was going to literally flatten the world. Let's be real. No one actually knew that was the plan. Maybe except for Eren. I mean, Flock claims that he knew that was the plan, but the dude's a liar, so I don't think so.
I think worked out that Eren was going to do some kind of rumbling, but I don't think that he expected him to do all of them.
No.
Yeah. Well, because remember he turned around and was like, look, the other walls are down too. Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think anyone could have predicted exactly what Eren was going to do. Because he fooled Flock, he fooled Zeke, he fooled Elena, he fooled Armin. Like, he fooled everybody.
Yeah.
And he kept his cards so close to the chest. No one was sure exactly what he was going to do. And so I think Armin thought he had the best chance because he's like, no, Eren would never, cause all the Eldians he loves to end, which is true. He just didn't think he'd kill the entire world to do that.
Commit continent
destruction.
Continent-wide destruction of all life, including animals and plants.
Oh, sad.
He's just literally gonna Roomba the whole planet.
Rach.
It's terrible.
The rumbling.
Okay. There's just a giant vacuum cleaner. Okay, sorry. Moving on.
That joke sucks.
Mainland aside. Nice.
We get to this part where he says, Hange responds, she says, listen, I already explained, General, we don't wish for genocide. Which, this is my pet peeve with every show ever of all time. I'm like, why do you do such a bad job of not explaining yourself? She just we assume that she explained more earlier because she says, I already explained. We do not wish for genocide. I'm like, if you would just explain this one crucial thing, which is that you didn't know he was going to genocide the entire world, that's kind of the most important detail, and she doesn't mention it, and it drives me freaking off a wall. It's like in romantic comedies where they come back and the guy's like, oh, and then I'm like, just explain to her that you didn't see the car coming and that's why you jumped over the bush and that's what made it look like you were flirting with some other girl, but you didn't mean to. But instead, they just bypass that and they're like, I still love you. I'm like,
yes.
What the frick is wrong with you people?
Yourself.
Or it's in Frozen. Like, they didn't tell her, hey, you can talk about your powers, just be careful not to kill anybody with them. And she's like, no, I have to lock myself in my tower forever and never talk to it. No one ever said that. 5 minutes of conversation with mom and dad and the whole movie goes away.
Communication, please. Communications. All right. Pet peeves aside, they start talking about the sense of justice. Okay, so he goes, oh, it's nice that you finally found a sense of justice. And Jean brings it up. He's like, you want to start talking justice, bro? He's like, and to me, maybe it's because, we watched the show in this order. We found the events in this order. But he's like, you think we're devils because we were fighting off the Titans that you sent.
Exactly.
What is wrong with you? And I've been saying that for 4 seasons now. But seriously, what is wrong with you? How do you not see that that's the worst possible thing you could possibly be doing? So then he's like, we had to fight just to live. Does that sound like devils to you? And he goes, yeah, pretty much. Sounds like devils. I'm like,
try to be objective here for a minute.
I wish to slap you directly into your face with my hand. Just whoosh, jerk.
Okay.
So ridiculous.
So
cheap shot, Megath.
he does give this point. He goes, oh, well, the threat of paradise came true, to which Jean counters again successfully. He goes, well, yes, but you sent the attack. Eren's mom got eaten. You're the reason the whole rumbling thing started in the first place. So what the frick? Like, isn't this kind of on you? Now, okay.
And what does Magath do?
This
what does
is
Magath
like
do?
every toddler that gets pissed off when you're like, if you don't stop doing that, you're going to take a break. And they're like, what, this? Go take a break. Why? No. Like, what did I tell you would happen?
So John counters, and he goes, you're the direct reason for the consequences, right? And what does Magath counter with? Yeah, but 2,000 years ago, some stuff happened that you had no control over, and none of us were even alive to see it, but still, it's wrong. And so it's like, okay.
But I
you're
just
going
wanted
back
to touch
that.
the thing.
And then John said, or then John, I forgot what does John say, but then Magath says, oh, it's like I'm dealing with children. It's like,
He said-
you're the one with the childish arguments.
John was like, you
He
don't
is.
get to be a victim. And then he said that.
Oh, it's like I'm dealing with children. It's like, look in the mirror, bro.
You're literally
Okay.
acting like a toddler who threw a tantrum because of the consequence that you said would happen. The king warned you people that if you
Yes.
messed with them, the rumbling would happen, and you called their bluff, and now you're complaining about it?
Seriously. No, this
What
is
is
exactly
wrong
right.
with you?
And then in order to justify himself further, because he's losing the argument, he brings up the, 2,000 years of history is way worse than whatever happened to the island. It's like not even good to even compare. I'm like,
It's like, take personal responsibility for the things that we've done.
Something that happened 2,000 years ago doesn't give you the right to eat people right now.
Yeah.
doesn't no okay, this is exactly right. This is like this drives me up a freaking wall. I'm like, listen, you said it. Magath, were you there during the Titan Wars? Oh no,
Hange points all of
you
that
didn't
out.
you didn't
eventually,
participate.
thankfully,
And then Jean, were you the one? Were you a Titan killing people? Like, oh no, you weren't. Okay, so neither of you are either guilty for having done or a victim of what happened in those scenarios. And so
Right.
you got an option. You can put your father's sins behind you and move on and figure out a way to go forward, or you can hang on like bitter clingers to the past for which you have nothing to do with and no responsibility for or against.
And no one was
And
even
nothing
there.
to gain from
And
your
nothing to
victory.
gain.
And no one was even there to even verify actually what really happened, right?
True.
It's
no
all
one
just
actually
hearsay.
knows.
I've been
so-
saying that for
Except
this
Ymir.
whole show.
Nate-
I'm like, no one was there. How do we freaking really know for
And
sure?
do we even know if the ghost of Ymir in the sands of sadness is even the real Ymir with real memories? Like, do we know anything?
Yeah, right. Nate had a great comment. He goes, it's really refreshing that Reiner is actually the first person to step forward and take personal responsibility
Yeah.
for his
Correct.
own evil actions.
Yeah.
He does. He owns it. He's
He
the only
goes,
one with ownership.
I did something wrong. Not somebody else, maybe, whatever. He goes, I did something wrong. Magath is pointing. Jean's pointing. Everyone's pointing. And he goes, I did something wrong. I'm sorry. I don't deserve forgiveness, is what he says, which is like, wow. He owns his wickedness.
actual junk,
And he
yeah.
takes the punches to the
Which,
face.
yeah.
He takes the beating. He takes it all. Reiner, the ultimate tank, man.
Okay, he's becoming my favorite, like slowly but surely.
Reiner?
I did not like him much, but like he's starting to grow on me, I have to say.
He's been my favorite for like a long time, but well, not my favorite, but he's like up there for me.
Uh-huh.
And I always was hoping he was going to do the right thing, you know?
He's
Yeah.
finally starting to come around.
And
a
he's
little
like
bit, yeah.
taking so much disrespect the last like whole season that I'm like,
Everybody's
bro,
just
come
punching
on.
him in the
He
face.
gets crapped on like a ton.
Constantly.
Okay, so Hange kind of breaks up the first part of this fight, and she's like, "None of us were there, right?" She drops the line. She says exactly what I'm saying. I'm like, "None of us were there" means two things. Number one, you can't know all the details and so on, and number two, like, this is a problem that humans have. Like, we just have this issue with the past. It's not that the past is a very important thing because you want to look back at it, but you want to look back at it so that you can learn to change what
To
you,
not do the same.
not what somebody else is going to do, but
Do not
you are going to do in the
Be a
future.
dog returning to your vomit.
And that's kind of the whole like point. That's the whole purpose of it. But like as humans, we have this problem where we fixate on the past as if there's a way to change it, as if there's something we can do now. Right? This is a great example. Somebody commits a really horrendous crime, and we put them in prison. And it's like we would say, oh well, it's justice, right? Okay, yes, it is justice, I suppose. But the purpose of doing the justice of putting the dangerous criminal behind bars is so that in the future they don't do it again. It's not possible to do it again,
And
right?
you deter others from doing it.
Yes, yeah, to discourage others. Like there's lots of other like points to do it, but like we don't look back at whatever serial killer to like grovel over it or like go find his mom and beat her up or something. You raised him, you're so bad. Like, we don't do that. We look back and we go, how can we avoid having a serial killer do these things again? How can we catch somebody faster or maybe stop them before they do it? Like, that's the whole point. All right. Anyway, moving on. She says, we're the weird devils who want to help the world, who wants to exterminate us. An interesting line, because think about how noble that actually is. Again, Hange's kind of the one who's on point here. She's like the first one in to say, listen, I know they want to kill us. I still want to save them.
That is right.
That's like kind of, none of you
Love your
guys were at
enemies.
church this morning, but it was mentioned that there are people in the Ukraine who are feeding the soldiers who were attacking them just moments before because they're starving.
Dang.
It's kind of the same thing.
That's
They're
a love
loving
your
their
enemies
enemies.
attitude. And she says we can't go back to being ignorant. We spent some months outside the walls, and we can't go back to being ignorant island devils.
I think she says that kind of tongue in cheek, though.
Yeah, I think
Just
so.
we spent 2 months outside the world. We can't just go back to being ignorant, as if like she's saying that as if they're being ignorant, but they're actually being way more virtuous than Magath is here.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a joke.
Step up and be the bigger Hange. So Annie pipes in and she's like, "Can you kill him?" She says this, and of
Let's
course,
get
Armin
real
and
with
Mikasa-
Annie. It was Annie.
It was Annie.
And she wants to do the one thing. She cut through all the crap. I'm gonna kill Eren.
She's
so how do we
do
do
the
it?
one
How do
Annie
we,
thing
Yeah,
that
how
she
do we do
always
that?
does.
And like Armin, of course, like, well, there's other possibilities here.
We
Okay,
need to talk it out.
I'm so mad. I thought in this episode they would at least start to talk about this. I'm like, no. What is your actual plan to stop the giant founding titan with all
We
the power
have no
in the
idea.
world? What the F do you think you are
He
going to
can-
do
They don't
against
even seem
all
to
the
know where
titans?
he is right
and they
now.
can, and he can manipulate an army of colossal titans, and he can manipulate their own DNA
Yes,
and memories.
he can
Right.
manipulate you. What the F do you think is even possible? I am confused how anybody except for the non-Eldians, people like Magath
True.
who have things like planes and bombs, can do
and can like
anything about
still
this.
use their free will to do their own whatever
Yes.
they actually wish to do.
I wonder if they're gonna try to use Mikasa against Eren, because
Like
I know,
bait.
dude.
they're gonna be like, you still care about her, you don't
No
hate
matter
her.
what you say.
And so if you try to change us, we're gonna blow her up or something like that, and that's gonna allow Eren.
don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. It seems
I
like
asked
he's
this-
been trying to close his heart off to how he feels about her. He even wanted to throw the scarf away. And I think he actually did want to throw it away, no matter what anybody else says. I think he actually did.
I think he was trying to
heartbroken.
remove himself from
I think he was trying to
not go through his
make
plan.
his heart hardened to the only thing, his only weakness, like you're talking about, because she really is, her and Armin are his only weaknesses, and he was intentionally cutting himself off from them on purpose,
I don't like
burning those bridges to the ground.
Yeah.
it. I don't like it.
I don't either, and it sucks. Freaking Isayama making me sad.
He said he wanted to hurt us, and
He
he's
did.
He's already done it. Stop it, you monster!
He's the actual monster.
You
this
leave
whole
Sasha
time.
and Mikasa out of this.
So all right, so Annie gets in this conversation. She's like, "All right, can you kill him?" And he's like, "Oh, there's other ways." And she's like, "Okay, but suppose you can't talk him out of it. What then?"
She even says,
Can you-
"How are you gonna talk out the guy who's decided to kill the world?"
Yeah, somebody's gonna slaughter the entire world. You really think
How
you're
do
gonna
you
talk
even
him?
reason with someone anymore whose brain has gone to that place?
Who's omnicidal? Yeah.
Yeah, and so they get into this whole thing. She's like, or Armin says, "Well, we won't know until we try." And basically we can't. And she says again, like, "Well, if we can't stop the rumbling, then what do we do?" And she goes, "You can't think of him as an enemy." And this is I'll be honest, this is a theme in the show that's been a little weird for me because I actually don't know if I have this problem as much, but remember with okay, rewind. Actually, funny enough, rewind to when
Annie.
Aaron was trying to think of Annie's enemy, and he
He
couldn't.
was hesitating.
He couldn't even transform or anything. He's like, there's no way it's her or whatever. And he finally gets up the gusto and is like, no, like you're an enemy, and he's able to transform. Now, like I said, I kind of have trouble with this myself because I'm like, well, I can look at the world fairly objectively and be like, okay, well, if you're doing something wrong, you're doing it wrong. And there's a difference between you're accidentally doing something wrong or you kind of maybe poor judgment and no, you actually are like wicked and like a betrayer. And like, I just, yeah, maybe this is like an American thing where I'm like, it's balls and strikes. Like I just don't have this sense of like.
There is no gray area.
Well, yeah, I'm saying like I don't have a loyalty to a person. Like maybe it is more common. Maybe that's why I don't understand it so much. But like to have loyalty to like a leader, like a specific person or personality. I'm like being loyal to a person 100% in everything they do or say is always a mistake because it turns out they're flawed humans and they're going to do wrong stuff. Being loyal to principles, ideas, faith, those are the things that we can come around and together on and like agree on and stuff or whatever. But just like, yeah, everything this person does is like perfect and amazing.
Unless that person is Jesus, the Messiah, you're gonna get into some trouble.
Yes, excusing the actual perfection, there is no person that you would do this with. So anyway, she's like, you can't bring yourself to think of him as an enemy, which I understand that they can't, but I'm like, I also don't understand. I'm like, come on, you guys, it's not that hard. Look at this guy right now. Like, I'm sorry, but he's like doing some really.
You have to
really
do what
Hange
has done and stop referring to him as Eren and refer to him as the founding Titan. Turn him into something other than Eren.
Good point.
Hange's already starting to try to do that.
That's what Eren did with those child traffickers.
Yeah,
you guys know they were monsters.
They're not humans. They're monsters.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I saw were monsters, and you can easily kill a monster.
Yeah.
Because it's not human.
And look at what his Titan looks like too. Ew.
I still haven't fully really seen it.
I don't think we have. I don't know if we. Yeah, I don't know if we want to. Okay, so she moves on. She says, "If we try and kill him, you guys are gonna fight. You're gonna end up fighting to protect him, aren't you?" Like, am I right, Mikasa? And she like draws her blades, and I'm like, "Come on, we've been waiting for this fight since season 1. Remember season 1? They like at third cadet training or whatever, and we're like,
down.
OMG, fight of the century. Let's see it now." Spoiler. Mikasa wins this one. I mean, like, I don't care if Annie has her Titan power. Mikasa in season 1
I feel
versus
like Annie
Mikasa
would
now.
be in more danger if she was a Titan than if she was human.
Like, think if Mikasa had, like, tattoos for, like, all the kills. Like, she'd have a sleeve of freaking Titan kills. Sleeves. Yeah, she'd have, like, both her arms would just be like, freaking covered in
Annie'd have
tats.
a few sleeves of her own, bro. She's killed quite a few people herself.
Yeah, as
they
a Titan,
would both
when they were
be
helpless freaking, like, whoever.
They'd have tattoo shirts. Like, their whole upper bodies would be tattoos.
I'm just saying that, like, Mikasa's ability to cut the nape has been perfected to an art at this point. So
how many blades has she got? Annie can keep hardening.
She's full. She's like
Mikasa,
full stuff, dude.
Orange slice Ackerman.
She'll freaking take her fingers off, and then she'll take her toes off, and then she'll go full Ackerman.
Don't get me wrong, Mikasa's amazing. Let's not undersell Annie. Okay, she's also a boss.
It's true. I mean, she was trained since birth practically in martial arts, so she's not a pushover. Yeah. But Eren kicked her butt, and Mikasa can kick Eren's butt.
Did he really kick her butt?
It was a team effort.
I mean, I don't know.
They had to do it together.
It was
you have to
Eren
remember, too,
Mikasa.
I mean, unless Annie was holding back, Eren was top of the class in hand-to-hand combat, second only to Mikasa. Mm-hmm. So that means he was better. No.
But I thought that was just like their overall score.
John said that way back in the beginning, that Eren was top of the class in hand-to-hand combat, second only to Mikasa.
Whoa.
Better than Annie?
Better than Annie.
I don't believe that. We'll have to go look that up.
All right.
I remember him saying he was up there.
In the episode where they actually do the training thing and the fight almost happens, she was third in the class, but that was like that was when they announced them their like overall scores. They showed the top 10. And yeah, Eren is number 2 under Mikasa, but it does not hand-to-hand combat. It's just period. As of all the
Annie was trained in a martial art her whole life from her dad, who's from that island or
whatever. And in that episode where she almost fights Mikasa, part of the funny part of the episode is the fact that she just destroys Reiner, then destroys Eren like easily, and then destroys Reiner.
I'm pretty sure that Eren didn't start out that way. I think he learned from her, and he learned from Reiner, and he got better.
He did learn, because when he realizes it's Annie, he does go to fight her. He can like see her stances. He can kind of predict her moves a little bit because he knows who it is. Anyway,
okay. Overall, Mikasa was first, Annie was 4th, Eren was 5th.
Okay.
I just remember hearing
second,
either Connie or Jean, one of them saying when Eren was whooping the crap out of... No, it was someone else. Connie said it when Eren was whooping the crap out of Jean. I remember hearing that line, that Eren was second in hand-to-hand combat, only to Mikasa.
I need to go back and watch it. I know what you're talking about. I feel like I've watched the episode anyway. Okay, so they draw blades, and Annie does the thumb thing, and everybody gets tense for a second, and Levi is just I don't know why they show him, but he's just still knocked out. He's just chilling there.
He's over there, the one guy who could smoke all these guys.
Yeah.
He's just over there like sleeping while they're fighting.
So she stretches out her hand and she says, listen, I actually understand. The one thing I want more, the one reason I want to stop Eren is because I want to save my father from getting trampled.
Mm-hmm.
And I need your help to do that. Again, more solid proof that she's changed. Annie is different. She's not the same person she used to be.
Yeah.
She thinks and feels differently after, 4 years in the clink.
4 years in the
I also
crystal.
appreciate that after Annie's giving Mikasa crap about being obsessed over one person and having that one person in her life and protecting that one precious person, then she admits that she's the same.
Yeah.
Whoa.
She's like, yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, I understand that.
I only care about fighting Eren because I want to get back to my dad. He's my one precious person
Yeah.
that I'm trying to get.
And then you go, okay, Annie, what if your dad was killing everybody?
Yeah.
Would you
Imagine
help him or
your
would you
dad
stop
turns
him?
into a giant thing that has ribs that are very large and has like
He turns into a
cow
big-
head skull thing.
Birdcage Ragnarok worm.
Okay, this is a question I needed to ask the squad here, okay? Because I saw this and I wasn't sure. When she says this, Annie reaches her hand out. You guys thought it might be because she was trying to show them, look, I haven't cut my hand. Like in the past,
But
Eren's...
it's actually the opposite hand.
It's
I
the
watched
opposite
it
hand,
carefully.
yeah.
She has the thumb ring on her she has the thumb ring on her right hand, and then she stretches out her left. I'm pretty sure. So I can't remember what the order is, but
She
but
stretches her hand out.
They show her exchanging hands. They show her with the thumb thing, and then she exchanges hand and pushes this hand out and goes, "Listen."
She said something about, okay, someone who I really care about. Is this a callback to Falco reaching out to the birds? Hey, you. Is this a callback to Eren reaching out over the ocean? Like, that scene has happened a few times, and I can't figure out.
There's
the exact
also the scene
connection.
where Eren stretches out his hand and there's a slice through it and he's bleeding everywhere to show that, hey, guess what? I have a loaded gun and it's my
Yes.
whole body.
Yes.
And so is this her way of showing I put my weapon down? I don't know.
Oh, wow. Yeah. They're saying that Jean was up there, too, because he was 6 and he was jealous, but he was the actual only human without superpowers.
Yeah, it's true.
That's true.
Jean supremacy
She's
right
actually
here.
It's
the
true.
number one.
Yeah.
Because
Because-
Mikasa has freaking superpowers. She's an Ackerman.
All the rest of them were
And
Titans.
they were
Titans
all Titan
slash
shifters.
Yeah.
He's actually the top of the class.
Plus, Bertolt and Reiner, who were 2 and 3, they've been trained their whole lives to be warriors.
Yeah.
You know, so
literally since children. So
dang,
okay,
horsepower
Horsepower
trumps all.
let's go. This is what we call horsepower.
Wow. Wow.
Okay. All right.
Freaking
all right.
V8 horsepower.
That's
over here.
right.
Becca!
She's home. All right. So Annie finishes her little deal with, I need your help to do that. And if you can change his mind, that's all the better. But until then, we shouldn't fight. Which begs the question.
Will they fight in the future?
Will they fight in the future? Because I would like to see it.
Okay, but that
Even
means
if
they're
I
gonna,
just
don't
for
want to
fun.
see it, though.
okay, but
because
that means they're not going to be on the same side at some point
they
again.
need to stay on the same side
In order to stop
until
Eren.
everything's
I'm not
sorted
that
out.
worried about it. I just want to come on. Just
Okay,
give me what I want to see.
My prediction is that in the end, it's Mikasa that helps take down Eren. Right? It's the beautiful tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
However, wouldn't that be freaking
I do not look
nuts
forward to the
if
tears.
Mikasa goes and she's like, Eren, I can't do it, and she turns and she's like, I'm gonna kill everybody to protect my man, or whatever. Like, Eren,
and then Annie kills her.
and Eren's like, I knew you would do this, or so, wouldn't that be crazy?
No,
I don't think that's
that
gonna
would
happen,
be-
but wouldn't that be freaking nuts?
I would expect that.
She goes goth queen and just kills everybody. And
Okay, so the stew gets ready, according to Hange. She says it's going to be 5 hours to get to the port we need to go to. And she actually specifically says that Azumabito's flying boat is going to be there. I have so many things to say about this flying boat.
He does.
I have been talking about this since we saw it and towards the beginning of season 4. At any rate, we'll do that at the end because there's some theories in there. Yeah, and then Megath's like, "Oh, figures the Azumabito's would turn their back on us." I'm like, "Yeah, you." Again, you're not actually that good
Their
at your job, bro.
princess
Like,
is
you're only partially
an Eldian.
competent.
Okay.
She says the problem though is going to be locating the founder, and that's why we captured her, Elena. Right? We were asking that last episode, like, well, okay, why did they actually keep her? They kept her because they think that she's going to have some insight into where Eren is going to be. And he actually says this. So they explain it. So Megath explained this. She says, I don't know, and why would I tell you even if I did know? And Megath is like, you taught Eren Yeager everything he knows about the mainland. True, right? We find out she's Marleyan. Then he says, he obviously planned the rumbling ahead of time, meaning like even now it's not just like swing for the fences, the rumbling's going, just do whatever. Eren has something in mind, even if he's just like, oh, I'm going to flatten the whole earth. Well, there's going to be a particular way in which you do that, and there's a place you're going to start and a place you're going to end, and so how are you going to direct all these titans, and there's going to be something to that plan. Even if Elena doesn't know anything about it, Mikasa is correct, and that seems like 100% the case to me. I'm like, of course, this isn't haphazard. He's been planning the rest of these details for all this time. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't have just been like, oh, all you need to do is get to the rumbling, and then everything's fine. Like, surely he has a plan for this as well. But Elena doesn't seem to know what it is.
Or she's refusing to let on that she knows.
She says at first, like, oh, I don't know, and why would I tell you anyway? I'm not going to work with a bastard, right? Or something like that.
Yeah,
but I think she is going to eventually kind of come out with it. But what's going to cause her to turn around is the real question.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm going to get to that. But before we get to anything else.
Well, that would be a prediction. Never mind.
This episode of Beyond the Podcast is brought to you by an amazing product.
Let's hear it.
All right. I just want to say, the last 2 years have been pretty hard on everyone.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
Whether you're killing titans, or you're slaying demons, or you're working on the front line of healthcare as a doctor, right? It's easy to get dehydrated and malnourished. Most people turn to sugary drinks, coffee or tea to pick me up, and this can lead to even worse dehydration, feeling tired, burnt out, with constant headaches. Mm-hmm. Sound like somebody you know?
Most people I know.
Most people. And Mikasa.
Oh, damn.
Her real problem is she was dehydrated.
Yeah.
Okay.
This whole time.
Is that a rumbling I hear? No. It's Hydronique Hydration. Here to refresh, rehydrate, and reinvigorate us to get us back into the fight. Mm-hmm. Started in the midst of the pandemic, the founder of Hydronique Hydration, a frontline healthcare worker, started developing constant headaches. Due to a landmark study that revealed 81% of frontline healthcare workers developed new headaches due to being unable to eat or drink properly with all their personal protective equipment on.
Makes sense.
That's why he created Hydronique Hydration. Sugar-free, keto-friendly, plant-based, antioxidant-rich electrolyte powder packets for daily use, containing all of the essential vitamins and minerals with a refreshing taste. Their product contains elderberry, which is immune-boosting properties for support during cold and flu season.
Give me some of that.
And we'll hold off the Titans. So if you're having trouble eating and drinking healthy during your busy day of 2022, we want to invite you to try the sugar-free, keto-friendly vitamin drink. Give Hydronique Hydration a try. Mm-hmm. There's over 30 electrolyte powder packets in a pouch, perfect for a 1 month supply. Think about it. Why do you think Commander Pixis is always on point? That wasn't just booze he was sipping on.
Oh,
it was Hydronique Hydration. Exactly. Right? You can visit the website, www.hydroniquehydration.com. That's HYDRONIQUE hydration.com. It's the word hydration and unique mashed together. Mm-hmm. Or search for Hydronique Hydration at Amazon.com, where they're offering a discount coupon at checkout for the next week. There's a link in our bio if you guys want to check it out. So, true salute to Hydronique Hydration for sponsoring this episode and joining the fight against dehydration. Try some, and you'll be going Titan 3 to 5 days a week, guaranteed.
Gotta keep it hydrated. Gotta keep it real, my friends. That's pretty good.
Water.
Delicious.
Hey, many thanks to our sponsor here. So why don't we get to this last bit with Elena, because she does some interesting. It's kind of a Elena roast. Is really what this is.
It really is.
For some
She's
reason,
like, none of you guys are going to take personal responsibility. I'm going to make it really hard for you. Here are all of your sins. Blam.
Okay, well, for starters, we actually start with Elena's backstory.
True.
Okay, you'll remember, maybe you do, all the way back to the beginning of season 4, we first meet Elena, and she's like, Marley was at a war with the country that I'm from, this country she never names, and during that war, somehow, I come into friendly, casual contact with
a god.
The main combatant / leader of this fight, who may or may not have been in Titan form at the time. And then during that, we become such good friends, and I become loyal to him, and then I come back to Marley and then join the recruits, and then I'm with him from there on forevermore. That is, like, I just remember thinking, what the frick kind of story is that? Like, it's just...
It didn't make sense, really.
It never made sense to me, but I thought, well, it's anime. There's going to be some weird explanation for this.
The relationship has never made sense to me.
Yeah, it still doesn't. No. But looking back at it, I'm like, at least her weird story about like, oh, he was invading our nation and I saw that he was a god and that I should join his side. At least I can now know for sure that was just utter bullcrap. Thank God.
She saw him invading some other nation and was like, you're pretty cool.
Yeah, right.
She like imprinted on him like flock.
Yeah, okay, but he
bit.
seems to not care about her. Do you guys think that he's doing to Elena what Eren's doing to Mikasa? Do you think he really cares about Elena deeply?
I don't know. Maybe.
Or she's just a tool?
I think she's just completely out of her mind.
We've never seen anything to indicate
sort of
that
like,
he cares. But I'm like, what if?
I don't know if you're aware of this phenomenon, but there's like these very strange women or men who become romantically obsessed with serial killers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Elena has
happened?
that
okay.
towards Zeke.
I believe that.
Like those serial killers, doesn't give a crap about her or feel anything for her, but she cannot be unconvinced of their connection.
Okay, deep question.
And he just sees her as a tool he can use or a pawn he can sacrifice because she doesn't mean anything to him.
Who's more messed up, the serial killer or somebody who falls in love with a serial killer?
I believe the second one, in my opinion, would be more screwed up personally, but perhaps not. Maybe they're equally screwed up.
One is more, I think the serial killer is more screwed up, but then the person who's falling in love may be less wise. I don't know.
But the crazy thing is,
wrong.
though, sometimes the one who falls in love with them then starts committing murder in their name. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, at least the serial killer had something
like
broken
Elena,
in their mind. Like
blowing people's brains out left and right in the name of Zeke. Like, whoa.
They're both jacked up. Let's leave them alone.
Yeah.
So Elena
put them both in jail.
Begins to roast everything while Hange's roasting the stew.
Yeah. She's well. Okay, I just have to get this at least this one line in from Piek where she's like, "Oh, well, your passion is to be admired," and I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't think giving Elena compliments is something I would do personally.
And then Elena pets her like a cat.
That's weird.
So
that is one of the weirdest
and Pick,
scenes.
like closes her eyes like.
I was waiting for her to start purring or something.
I was too.
Doing the dog thing, like doing this with her face.
Yeah. The weird part is she says that, well, I guess we'll get to it, but she says that Elena, like, oh, you're just a Marleyean. Like, you're a bastard Marleyean like the rest of us. Mm-hmm. And what you hoped to do was you wanted to carve your name. You wanted to become great. You wanted.
Yeah.
Now, she does, like, long to see history change.
Well, I think so he's making an accusation to her that she turns around and then makes to all the rest of them, which is basically like, you were doing this, you wanted to be, quote, the savior of the world. Mm. You had this like grand thing. You wanted to carve your own name into history, and you wanted to have there be this grand thing where that you were a part of it, right?
Saving the world doesn't sound sweet.
Yeah, but she turns it back around and points a finger at everybody else and says, well, that's what you're trying to do right now. Isn't there? Mm-hmm. She basically says in so many words that like the idea of saving the world is kind of an intoxicating thing. There's a certain nobility that you feel when you go and do that. So of course you would do it. And she's also at the same time, I think, trying to justify herself, which is, well, there's a reason I did it. It's because that's what I was trying to do.
The greater good.
Also, she's pointing out that they're just as bad as she is. They've committed just as many murders as she has.
This is perfect. She's pointing out the log in all of their eyes.
That's the whole, like, you point your finger and there's 3 pointed back at you.
Or Ymir doesn't point any fingers and 9 point at her. You know?
Yeah. So.
Or is 13? 13.
How many? What about Levi? How many point back at him?
Levi doesn't have any more to point back at him. So.
Darn. So she begins her roast and she starts with, shall jog your memories. Reiner, think about how many people were eaten when you broke down the walls, right? And if the man, listen, Elena, back off. The man has tried to kill himself over this. Like, he freaking knows. That's one of the reasons I'm okay with Reiner these days. I'm like,
yeah.
He grieved. He's paid the price several times.
So many times in so many ways.
He wanted to kill himself. Like, yeah. He at least admits wrongdoing, while so many others are still like, no, I'm justified.
Yeah. Poor Reiner. Anyway, so she starts with Reiner, and then she goes, okay, Annie, think about all the scouts that you killed. True. Again, she like killed them, like squashed them and murdered them on purpose. And she's like, and the civilians you killed in Stois. Yeah, she enjoyed it. Now, I could say more or less the same thing of Annie at this point, which is that maybe it's been less observable than with Reiner, but we've seen at least some of Annie's heart change as well, which is, I don't think she's the same person. I don't think she is aiming to do the same things anymore. So there's been some kind of repentance, if you can call it that, for her as well. Okay, then she moves on to, she's like, and you Islanders are kind of the same. She goes, Armin, what you did on that port. considering you're the most level-headed, the most reasonable one, it's amazing what you did on that port, or at that port. Between all of just all of you so far, you have a mountain of corpses, kind of adding up. As in, like, these people, their deaths are on you in a direct way. Same thing with Armin. Armin's probably the most repentant character. He's the one who's like the most like grieved over, like, crap, like I need to stop doing stuff wrong. Like I really stinking hate it. Okay. Then she moves on to, this is the one that I feel like I need clarification on. She says, Jean, you acted like a true hero when you were in Liberio. She says you shot at Falco instead of the cart titan. Was I reading it wrong? I read it twice. I'm like, no, remember he intentionally missed. Like, remember he's coming down to fire Thunder Spirit the cart titan or whatever, and Falco's there, and he's like, oh, don't kill her or whatever, and like Falco's standing right in front, and so he like misses, and then he asks himself as he's flying away, like, did I do that on purpose? Could I just not kill the kid? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be the example of him doing the right thing, not the wrong thing? I'm just confused.
Her point was, she says, remember all you heroes in Liberio. Like, you guys are heroes here, but you're terrorists in Liberio. You guys attacked and shot civilians, mostly military, but they were part of a direct attack that did lead to the death of many people who had nothing to do with, their plight.
So that's her greater point. But she brings up the Falco thing specifically. I'm like, yeah, but he spared his life, like, on purpose.
I think someone made the point. It looks like Paris. Her point is he still shot at a kid.
So not shooting.
Even though he missed, he still shot at a kid.
Oh, you shot at the cart titan in spite of... That would make sense.
In spite of Falco.
Maybe we can ask Mako if she's got something there. So, okay, all right. Fair enough. So she goes, Gabby, you're the one who shot and killed Sasha. Again, we're talking about somebody who's extremely repentant for what she's done. Jean, I would say this is the same way. Yeah. And then she says, she was such a sweet girl. Even I was saddened.
Which is crazy because this is the serial killer lover here who's like, even I was saddened. I'm like, wow, it's bad if Elena felt bad about Sasha's death.
But the reason I keep putting it out is I'm like, all the characters she's like accusing right now, all of them have felt and expressed like sincere remorse and actually don't want to do it the same way again. Mm-hmm. Whereas with Elena, I see no such fruit of repentance.
She do it all again.
I don't know. Maybe what she's saying here is her way of being like, because she says, I understand you guys have been a family since you were cadets. You must feel immense grief.
She just sounds like a sociopath to me, just pulling on puppet strings. That's how she sounds to me.
She's been a manipulator, a master manipulator for this whole show, so there's no reason to think she's not trying to do more of that right now.
I think it's her defense mechanism. It's all she knows how to do, and so here, where she has no purpose and no plan and no hope, she's gonna kind of go back to what she knows how to do, which is like, well, you guys aren't perfect either. Look at all this, huh? How do you feel about this? As a way to like deflect from the fact that she's lost her purpose.
She has no soul. Also, there's that.
Oh yeah.
No, we knew that. Okay, so
the only thing she had was a purpose, and now she doesn't have that. So she's just a shell.
Yeah, that's what they said. They're like, she doesn't even want to live. Like, what point is there in trying to like interrogate her?
Yeah, this is where we get to the spot where they go, Connie's like, oh well, Elena, you cared about your homeland, right? That's why you're fighting right back against Marley. And Magat's like, actually, it's not even that. And Cart speaks up and goes, yeah, you're a bastard Marleyan like everybody else. You're actually a Marleyan. You actually live on the other side of the Liberio. You actually had all the luxuries, all the good. You weren't in squabble. You weren't in...
Elena is Flock.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they both have the same haircut.
Yeah, they deserve each other. So, okay, so we get to this next kind of bit where Jean actually sort of shrugs the whole thing off, and he's like, thanks, Elena. Like, I love how he basically discounts like everything she said. Like, you're like, he's basically going, you don't have any real standing to say any of the crap you're saying, so thanks, I guess.
I think he's saying, like...
Okay, but how the crap does she know all the things she knows?
She's been with Zeke, and Zeke's like the master,
Freaks me out.
She does know too much.
But I think what happens with John is she's like firing bullets, right? She's like, you're a bad person because of this, you're a bad person because of this, you're a bad person because of this. And like you're saying, most of people have actually like repented and feel bad about it. Some of them might go, oh yeah, I still feel bad about that or whatever. But John is like, you're trying to air all this like bad news to get us to come together. Okay, interesting. Sure, to kind of show like we're all the same or whatever. Thanks for that, but listen, it doesn't like really affect me because I think I'm justified in what I did, right? Then she fires the last live round and she goes, oh yeah, you think you're unaffected by this, Jean? Watch this. Hey, Annie, what happened with Marco?
Okay, wait. Before we get to that, he drops the bomb on her. I forgot about this line. Just look down. Right before the Marco line, he actually says, oh, yeah, we they get it out in the open comment. But he says, it's a shame you blew the heads off of your buddies for a failed fantasy.
Oh.
So I just had to say it because it's a pretty good dig. Okay,
Yeah,
like as
and
far as
that's when
things
she's
go.
got
Yeah.
to reach
That's when
deep.
she throws her haymaker.
Yeah, she reaches deep. She throws everything she has back at him.
Like, oh yeah, what was that friend you used to know, Marco? Hey, Annie, how were you involved in the death? And then she's like, I took Marco's ODM gear, I took it away from him. That's why the Titan ate. And then this is where Reiner steps up and does what nobody else is doing. He takes ownership. He gets out in front of it and he says,
did it too. I mean, she said
she does.
Yeah,
she does. I'm just saying, like, he
really owns it.
Really truly owns it.
He shows emotions.
And like so he explains the whole thing with Marco. He's like, he heard about our private conversation, or Annie was just following my orders. He overheard our secret conversation, and fearing that our identity would be known, I knocked him down. Whatever, had Annie take his gear away, and then he was eaten, and they're all like stunned because they didn't know this. I kind of forgot that they didn't know this. The remaining cadets, but specifically Jean is like,
okay, and that brings me back to how the frick does Elena know?
Well,
I think Reiner and
Why
Bertolt,
would Reiner and Bertolt tell Zeke about that?
they briefed him on everything.
I guess maybe.
That's what I think. I think when they went back with Ymir, they met, what's his name? Zeke. And they briefed him on
Was she in the
everything they
room
did.
when they briefed him?
No, I'm
Because-
saying Elena has been in like deep cahoots with Zeke for quite a while though. And the
Yeah.
thing is Zeke making this plan to go back to the island and stuff, he definitely would have told her, hey, one of the 9 that she's in this crystal, her name's Annie, like here's the whole situation with her. I just think that
as
would,
much information as she can have, as much
Yeah.
ammo she can have.
yeah, she's like a supposed to be master manipulator spy. So for her to know everything, I don't think is that surprising. So yeah, so he so Jean says, did Marco say anything at the end? And I didn't catch this till the second. Sorry, we watched it twice. He says, Marco's last words, which this is true. I watched this episode not that long ago. He goes, wait, we haven't talked this through.
Haven't even talked about it.
We haven't even talked this through.
Yeah.
Which is exactly, and then like, okay, well, carry on.
It's
We haven't
like
even talked this
prophetic
through.
and stuff.
It is. It's like a prophetic thing. And he goes, Jean, I think is the one who's talking here. Shoot, I can't remember who says it, but they're like,
this whole scene,
yes,
they keep
this is
flashing
true.
away and flashing at the trees.
It's
and the
hard to
fire.
see who's talking.
And so you're like, okay, I think that's this person's voice. Yeah, whatever.
But he says, we've barely, but that's true. We've barely talked to each
That's
other.
Armin that says that.
And we're still here. And yet but that's why we're still here. That's why we're here, still trying to bury each other, like still like at each other's throats. It's because we haven't talked it through. It's as if Marco from the grave is telling everybody the correct thing, which is, wait, before you make this decision to end somebody,
Dang.
why don't you talk it through before you go to
Which
each
is
other
what
to kill each
Armin
other?
has been saying. I mean, that's what
True.
Armin has been saying from day one.
That's
He's
true.
always saying, wait, before we do this, we need to talk it through.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing Marco would have been saying if he had lived. Him and Armin would have been echoing each other.
That's a good point. I agree. So then Hange's like, well, it's not too late. We're still here. Instead of fighting each other, like we could do this.
We would have been at each other's throats in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're sitting around here. I'm just saying, John is the one who said.
Okay, maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes sense. So, but Reiner like isn't done confessing. He's like,
Jean wants him to shut up.
I watched it happen, and I wondered why he was being eaten, and it actually made
Hange's
me so
like,
mad.
what?
It made me so mad that I actually killed it. Like I killed the Titan, and I was was so mad at it. I was like, why did you kill? Why did you eat Marco? And Jean even tries to kind of like stop him. He's like, no, your guilt was just messing with your head. And
I think he's more like, yeah, we get it. You were messed up.
yeah, but then he's
He
like, no,
doesn't-
don't forgive me. I'm worthless. He still has that like. This man feels bad.
Yeah.
Like,
He should. He killed his friend. Marco was a good friend to him, too.
Yeah.
but I'm saying like, of anybody who's like actually in the remorse and like the most intense possible way, Reiner's got to be number one on that list. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jean kind of tries to stop him here, and he's like, just stop talking. And I think it's because he knows he's about to snap. Because if Reiner apologizes, he can't handle it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to hear it.
How could your apology help what you did?
It's almost like offensive to hear "I'm sorry" when your best friend has been murdered.
Yeah. Yep.
Because those words they fall so far short of what you need to hear that it's like it drives them over the edge.
And yeah, I don't know. It's also sometimes I feel like it's easier to like hate somebody than it is to see them not just be a flat evil, but also to be a real person who goes, no, I feel bad about that. And you're like, no, stop. Just stop. It's like, let me just,
let me hate you.
Let me hate you. And instead of that, you're apologizing, and that's not going to change. It's going to fall so short, like Rachel's saying. And also,
it also holds your grief at bay. That rage, it holds your grief away. And as soon as that falls down, you don't have anything protecting you. You just have to feel it.
Look what happens. He flies at the handle. He beats the hell out of Ren. He punches in the face repeatedly.
He like breaks his skull in multiple places with his fist.
Charlotte had a good point. He said, I don't think if Reiner wasn't a Titan, John wouldn't have gone so crazy.
I agree. He wouldn't have.
I think he goes, I know you can heal from this. I'm going to let you have everything you deserve right now.
Well, the next morning, he's like, listen, you healed hours ago. Get off that.
But then, that's like Rachel said, as soon as the anger is gone, he walks off into the woods, and he is a mess.
Yeah,
John's
he's like crying. Yeah, the grief takes over. Dang. Oh, this show's like really deep, actually. All the emotional wounds. So they get in the fight. He kicks Gabby in the process, of course.
Gabby sacrifices herself.
She throws herself in front of it, and she says, I'm sorry. We wanted to wipe out everyone living on Paradise. We wanted all the devils to be wiped out. And now, look, my mom and my family.
Forgive us.
Yeah, so the world would forgive us. And now, look, my mom and my family in Liberia are about to get trampled. It's a shameless ask, I know, but I'm asking you. We need your help, please. I'm begging you.
This part where they both start begging, like,
it's tough to watch.
It
actually,
like stabbed me right in the feels, like multiple times.
Yeah. Again, talk about
their
a character.
Giant child eyes.
Yes, those are cute because
they're
little.
Sweet little voices. Please help us.
But then, like, just Gabby's like, she got it. Okay, my prediction came true, but she really gets it, and it's like this. I love that it's in a young kid. I love that, like, here she is all hardened by this, like, propaganda, and then she comes all the way full circle, and not only, like, accepts and loves those people, but, like, openly confesses, like, this is what I wanted to do, and I don't deserve mercy. I don't deserve help, but I'm going to beg you for it anyway. Like, please, Sean, like, we can't do it without you.
Yeah. And John's, like, too overcome with his own anger and grief to say anything. At that moment, I was like, he's going to help him.
Yeah.
But he turns around and walks away, and they're like, no, it's too late. He's gone. I'm like, you guys don't know John. Like,
He's
John.
just going to go cry in the woods for several hours and then come back.
Yeah. His friend Marco, man, for sure.
Dang. Yeah. Let's look in the comments. So, all right. So, the night comes. The night comes and goes, and we kind of wake up the next morning, and he's like, Jean is waking them up, and he's like, all right, I'm going to help you guys. And Gabby's like, you really? Like, you're going to help us again? It's like kind of a cute little
really
moment.
Sweet.
And he's like, of course. Which is exactly what you were just saying, Pete. Like, of course he was going to help. That was never not going to be the case, but he just needed a second to himself. So they get in the thing. They get in the what do you call that thing? I don't want to call it the cart because that's the name of the Titan. The
carriage?
Carriage? It's kind of a carriage, no roof. But anyway, they get in the carriage.
It's a carriage.
The thing being pulled by the horses with the wheels.
It's a carriage.
And he apologizes to Gabby. He's like, I'm sorry for kicking you. She's like, oh, no, it's fine. I'm good. Which, again, it's like she smiles and is cool and is happy and, like, chill with everybody. Very refreshing because for so long I've been used to her being like,
I hate everyone.
I'm always causing trouble. I can never just get along. I'm
now
like,
she's, like, sitting next to Falco and they're all cute.
Yeah, they're like a little teenage couple.
Yeah, that's cute.
13 years. But
and she's genuinely happy that John wants to help them. She wants the help. She needs the help. And she's like, oh, thank you so much for helping. And then he's like, yeah, Reiner, I'm not going to apologize for beating the piss out of you.
And Reiner's like, yeah,
good.
that's fine.
I don't want
that's
you
okay.
to.
But then Annie goes, yeah, what about me?
They don't respond to her.
They don't. Like, is John gonna forgive Annie for the stuff that she's done? You know.
I don't think so.
Who likes Annie? Armin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
John didn't beat the crap out of Annie, so he doesn't have anything to say to her, apparently.
But he did attack the crystal with his sword.
It's true.
Yeah.
Just broke. But
Okay, I know this is like a Japanese thing. Okay, for better or worse, Japanese storytelling and Japanese storytellers always, in the modern era, always underplay romance. And in this series, there's a little bit of it here and there. But they I think he especially for portraying characters that are supposed to be more or less of like European descent, like you get some French Jean in there, and I'm like, you mean to tell me this guy isn't like driven by some kind of romantic passion at some point or another? But like, there's very little in the whole show, and I would say that's one of the few flaws as far as I'm concerned, because that's one of the chief let's just be honest, like sex, romance,
War
romantic
pushes
relationship.
all those feelings to the surface right away.
No, but that is like a chief driving force of all humanity, period, across every, religion and race and so on. Mm-hmm. And he just doesn't include as much of it here as I wish that he did. It's in there. It's just not as present. And I don't know.
It's always in the very background.
Yeah.
Except with Falco and Gabby. Where he's like, I love you.
Yeah.
And she's like, why are you telling me this now?
All right. So the Car Titan shows back up, gives the news. She says the port is occupied by the Jeagerists. They must have used a locomotive. And there's soldiers there with anti-Titan gear. And, of course, we zoom in and we see Flock doing typical Flock Roach stuff. Mm-hmm. He's got Azumabito. He's got the gun. He's holding her hostage. He just... Come on. Okay, it's not that he's not interesting, but I'm not on this guy's side. Why didn't somebody cut his head off or shoot him? Jean, Mikasa, hello? Anyone? Gosh.
Someone said, so what you're saying is you want a Flock romance spinoff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Flock and the Elena romance, one of those kind of, because she's really tall, it'd be sort of awkward. It would be, yeah. Yeah, I'm down. I'll take it. I'll watch it as a spectacle, not as a rooting for anybody. It's like watching if you've ever watched outing myself here, but if you've ever watched The Bachelor or Bachelorette, there's lots of times where I'm like, well, I don't like any of these people. I don't even think they did, but they kind of deserve each other. So I'm gonna watch. I'm just gonna let it play out and just watch the chaos. So there's some of that. Okay, can we do some spoilers?
Spoilers, predictions, emails.
Send us an email. beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. Try and get back to every single one. We've been getting an influx of them, which is great. And it's actually really cool because we've got some pretty good theories, some pretty good stuff that they're chatting and talking about and so on. It's actually been really helpful to us. So email us there. Find us on YouTube. Find us over out on twitch.tv/beyondthebasement, all those various places. All right. So if you don't want to listen to this, you can shut the podcast off now because we're gonna talk about it. Okay.
Come join us for the live stream. Live.
Oh, yeah, live.
5 p.m. Pacific time. And we can live chat together. And
same Titan time, same theories. Titan place. Okay. So here's prediction, spoiler talk, so on and so forth. I'm getting this from the preview, so I feel like this shouldn't count. But it's not just from the preview. Okay. The flying machine. Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
We've already seen it. They have shown
under a tarp.
It's under a tarp. Okay, but we know it exists. They call it a flying boat. To me, it is fairly obvious from the shape of it under the thing that what it is one of those. It's a 2-propeller plane. These have been around for ages. This is definitely a World War II technology where you have a plane that has traditional propellers that will propel it forward. So it's a fixed-wing aircraft. Correct. However, those propellers are geared in such a way that they can also become vertical and it can hover like a helicopter, okay? Fairly complex craft. There's a reason that they aren't very common anymore. There's other ways of accomplishing that, but at the time, this is a way of doing it. When I look at the cover of the machine, it seems fairly obvious to me that they have a plane that is capable of doing the hover thing. The props are aimed upward. That's just what it looks like under the tarp, and then they're also able to move forward and then propel it forward as a normal plane. Which also substantiates my idea that the world isn't just going to lay down and die. Somebody has airplanes with anti-Titan bombs. I'm not saying that's going to be the solution to end the rumbling, but
Could play a part.
I think it's going to play a part. More than that, I think
could
that
at least slow it down.
I think that we are looking at however this whole series ends. It ends in like a giant world war. It has to, right?
I mean, at the very
Against the
least,
Titans.
we know they have anti-Titan like cannons, right? They're shooting artillery shells. It's not hard to go, this works, let's make it bigger.
And let's put it on a plane that can fly above the Titans and then shoot them at
It's not even like a technological breakthrough. It's just like
the next logical
doing
step. Yeah.
And when's the last time we saw the East Empire? That was a year ago.
It's been a minute.
Like that, you know?
Yeah.
And so most likely some more terrible things have happened.
Well,
and
Marley's
developments
developed the technology such that they actually have rifles. Like that's what she shot Eren
An
with.
anti-Titan rifle, yeah.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is this fight it's not a sure thing. And so the Azumabito's coming back to the island. I predicted that as well. Remember, I just want to make sure, like, I love when I'm actually right. But I was like, hey, I think the squad, I think all these people are going to realize their interest line. They're going to get together somehow, and the Azumabitos are going to come help them out. Now, I was right. I didn't predict the fact that the Jeagerists were going to intercept the whole thing.
And, like, take the Azumabitos hostage or take Azumabito hostage.
Yeah. Didn't see that one coming. But
Them.
it makes sense. And my next prediction is that
Martyr wants to know if it was the Osprey you were talking about.
Osprey. That's what I'm trying to say. That's a current version of it, but like there's all kinds of different international versions and so on and so forth. But yes, that is what I'm trying to say. Osprey. Prediction. Next episode. I think the people, it's called Traitor.
Yes.
I think that these are going to be, remember the people Keith Sadie's talked to, and he was like, the time's going to come where we have to rise up and do the right thing. I'm hoping / thinking that that's what happens this next episode, is that a couple of them are like, yeah, you guys are right. We're going to help you. We're going to help you freaking sabotage this thing. We're going to help you get that freaking plane boat thing out of here.
Okay, but what if it's one of the people sitting at the fire who's going to go against the plan?
Which one?
Who's the most?
Elena.
Elena would.
Well, she's
not
not
even
on
really-
their side
she's not even
anyway.
on their
She's
side.
a hostile. She's
Who's
already
somebody
hostile.
who's at that fire, who's like on their
Megath.
side?
But who stands to gain anything by betraying
Not
them?
Megath.
Mikasa.
The Jaegerists are not going to take any of them back.
True. So it's not for political power. They did do it.
No, I think the traitor's a traitor to the Jaegerists.
Okay.
I think.
Could be.
I don't know.
Or maybe Elena will come around.
When I saw that title, I just figured that was what Flock and the Jaegerists were going to label, the
Mikasa
nine.
and Jean and stuff.
They're
They are
traitors.
traitors. That's true.
That's what I figured.
But then a lot of the episode names have a double entendre like that, so
True.
it could
Yeah.
be like a two-sided thing.
True.
I think. Okay, but then there's still so next piece of this flying machine thing. They're like, okay, well, we don't know where the founding titan is. We got to use this plane to go and find it. And then what? So you find it. Are you gonna just jump down there and do what? Can't Eren even talk to you?
I mean, if they have an anti-Titan gun on a plane, all
Well,
they got to
I
do
mean-
is snipe Eren in the back of the nape.
Even when Eren was in the Attack Titan form, he couldn't really talk. He could growl a lot, but Armin could talk to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So
And he can understand.
I don't know if they can really talk with him, but he could also come. Eventually, he learned how to come out of his Titan and talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he could come out of it and talk. I don't know.
You think there's one more epic showdown conversation to be had? Where
Maybe.
Eren admits, like, you have to do this in order to save the world. Or Eren says, no, I'm going to do this. This is the only way to, I'm going to kill everyone.
Something tells me it's just there's one last.
There will be one last twist that none of us are gonna
But
fully
like
see.
a
isn't
major
there,
one.
Isn't there still 4 more episodes or 3 more episodes?
Okay,
think
wait. So
there's
we
3
just
more.
watched. No, there's
84.
more than that.
Or maybe
There's
4.
there's 5. I think there's 4 or 5. Dang it! What are we on? We're on 24. We started on 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So that's 8. So we have 4 more.
We just did episode 25.
We should episode 25?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so there's only 3 more?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait. 17, 18, 19,
There's
20,
not
21,
much else
22,
that could
23,
happen.
24, 25. Yeah, so there's 9. So there's only 3 more to go.
We only have 3. So there's not much else that could happen.
Yeah, well, okay. So,
But according to Paris, there's 8 more chapters
yeah, there's 8 more chapters.
to pack into 3 episodes.
To
So the
pack-
next
but-
episode's going to be 8 hours long.
So either
Or
the
there's
next
gonna be a movie
episodes
after
are extended, they're longer in terms of like roll time, like amount of content. I don't know. We'll see. Or, which I think is the more likely scenario, they play out the next 3 chapters in normal time, and then they do in order to actually wrap it up, they do a feature length deal.
Yeah.
So,
What about the traitors being the people in Liberio who have risen up?
oh yeah, we haven't caught
Yeah.
up with them.
Because that's something
That was the last thing we
resolved.
saw was Annie's dad rising up and yelling. We don't really know what he did at that point.
Okay, and what about Historia?
We
When
haven't-
is
Where
she
the
coming?
frick is Historia?
3 episodes left, and she's gonna have to show up with a baby on her hip or something. I don't know.
I don't even know what to say. Like I
The
thought for
last thing
sure
we
we
even
would have
heard
seen.
about her was Armin saying Historia is in danger, and then that was it.
That was it.
Okay, go friggin' save her then. What the hell?
Yeah. Or
Nothing.
at least like, hey, everything good? Cool. We have to go do this thing. You want to come? Like, you're pretty cool. Like, you're the princess, Or
Does
She's the
Flock
queen,
and the Jaegerists, do they know
actually.
about her? Do they even know where she is?
it's a good question. It's a good question.
There's
the
been a
last we've
coup.
heard, it's
Eren
been a
has
minute.
taken over the island, and she doesn't even know.
Or does she? I don't know.
Apparently, Historia did not play a part in Eren's plan. I could be eating my words soon because you know how the show goes. But
Right.
it doesn't seem like she's been a piece of this.
I
at
thought
all.
she was a centerpiece.
Yes, I thought too. And now I'm wondering if she's a piece of the solution. Then, if she's not a part of Eren's plan, if she's a part of the plan to stop Eren.
I mean,
Because
Eren.
if you have Historia herself or even her child, you do have somebody else with royal blood.
What if they get everyone, Historia with her baby, the whole crew, right? Everybody on the flying machine, and they go, Eren, if you don't listen to us, we're gonna crash this thing into you, and everyone you care about is gonna die. Is this what you want? And that's the only way to like make Eren stop.
Maybe, I don't know. I know that Eren way back when said, when he touched Historia, I have to keep her out of this.
Mm-hmm.
So
Did he see something in her future? that
his
he needed
plan is to keep her out of this completely.
Did Historia's voice actor like piss off Isayama? And he was like, "So, see ya."
So yeah, goodbye. I don't know. Okay, can we talk about something sort of unrelated, but that I just need to verbally process for a second? Email. Yes, I can.
He has the technology right there in the palm of his hand.
99 Red Titans. Here. Do as you wish. Okay, but I need to bring this up for a second. You guys need to help me out. I know we've talked about this like 20 times, but it's still not clear to me. Okay. Eren, before he receives his Titan power, sees like future memory type things, like prophetic visions, before he has his Titan power. And then he obtains it. And then the Titan power that he obtains is the Attack Titan, which one of the special powers of the Attack Titan is it's able to see its own, it's able to see some select memories of the future inheritor, of like the next person in line. Okay. Falco at the beginning of season 4 has the exact same experience or something really similar, because he's doing the exact same thing where he's like kind of dazed and he's looking up, he's reaching the sky and he sees the birds, and then he has this like vision, and we don't really see his vision, but we do pretty well understand that his vision is of him more or less as a scout. And maybe it's not him.
Gear. Yeah.
Maybe it's not him, but he makes it sound like it's him. The dude has still never used ODM gear. I'm not sure how he would have this, except that
He gets the Attack Titan.
and well, I don't know. I'm saying he did. He has a Titan. He has the Jaw Titan. So he did receive a Titan power. It was like literally the very first thing in season 4.
Yeah.
What the crap
I don't know.
is the connection there? What am I missing?
We assumed that, or I assumed that he was having future memories like Eren, because I assumed that that was something that all Titan shifters had. But then it would seem, based on what we learned about the Attack Titan, that that's a power unique only to the Attack Titan.
Well, and it's unique to the person who actually has it, and Eren has the memories before he has the power.
Therefore, that would suggest that Falco gets the Attack Titan somehow.
It's
what if
possible.
all 9 powers end up in Falco?
Dang. Falco's the only one that
He's the only one that
couldn't throw
hasn't.
shade at.
Yeah, it's true. Falco's the only one who hasn't committed any sins really so far.
Yeah.
Will he end up being the sacrifice like
Dang.
of all
Spotless
sacrifices.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one. That'd be a good one.
I
Okay.
don't know. You want an
Falco
email?
is actually
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Eren wrote us an email. She said, hey guys, love the show. I'm sure someone has pointed this out already, but just in case, the Ymir from Norse mythology is the first giant and the ancestor of all other giants.
I actually didn't know that.
I didn't know
That's
this either.
crazy.
The name itself apparently also means screamer.
Whoa, because she does a lot of that. And
Big
she's-
Ymir,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
There's also a part of Norse mythology where they talk about the sculpting the world from Ymir's corpse. I remember that part.
Yeah.
There's so much more, but I won't run everything here. It's definitely worth looking up. Ymir mythology also goes on to have 3 sons.
Oh.
I thought it was interesting and very well thought out that what Isyam is alluding to with choosing the name Ymir for the character. Thanks for making the podcast. Absolutely.
Frost giant.
That is
Yeah.
some freaking
Yeah.
insight.
Really.
I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, I remember the whole like Yggdrasil and like the world being carved from the first being's corpse or the giant's corpse or whatever, but I forgot that her name was Ymir and she's the founder of all giants and Screamer. That's some pretty deep stuff. He's got a good way of tying these things together.
Man. Okay, so, I've already mentioned this. I just started watching Lost. And I mean, I know kind of more. The ending, it's been spoiled. I know how it goes down, but like, I'm watching it and I can't get out of my head as I'm watching it that, because there's 6 seasons, and I cannot get it out of my head that as I'm watching the show unfold in front of me, the people who wrote it, J.J. Abrams, lost a little respect for you here. The people who wrote it didn't actually know didn't know the end, didn't have the ending in mind when they wrote the beginning, and I'm like upset about it because I'm like, wow, you have so much potential here. How come you didn't flesh this all the way out? And then
That's how everybody felt.
you do that, and I'm like, I'm kind of thinking, okay, maybe my standard's too high now because of Attack on Titan.
Okay, but the
Because
same
it's
thing,
so perfectly like threaded together, and there's so many details in there
Yeah.
to all point to the same deal.
the same thing happened with Lost. It was actually the first time it happened, in my opinion. That
with Heroes.
happened with Game of Thrones, where they're giving you episode by episode, right? And it's such a culture. Lost was such a cultural phenomenon. I kind of reinvigorated television in the West. Like everyone was talking about it. Everyone was.
It was definitely the first version of a cinematic like TV show done the way that it was. I mean, you had like Band of Brothers. You had sort of special series that were done at like movie quality, but
right.
then
few and far between. This is episodic. It was weekly. Everyone was talking about it at the water cooler or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was podcasts about it back in the day. Like that's how
it was
crazy
the first
it was.
like after show. That and like The Walking Dead were the first like after show.
And there were all these theories, right? And the problem is you get an entire demographic of people, millions of people watching the show and millions of people swapping theories. Oh, I think this guy is this guy's brother or whatever. And everyone's working on all these theories, and the theories are better than the actual show. The show ends and it goes, we had all these great theories about what's going to happen, and the show didn't live up to even half of our user theories.
Yeah.
And we're not even writers. We're just freaking fans of the show. And the fans became more fans of the show than the writers became fans of the show, and that's a problem. Like you have to love what you're writing.
Yeah.
So in Game of Thrones, same thing happened. All these like epic, these guys have like hour breakdowns on like this lore piece from the book that's going to tie into the movies and or the show, and everyone's and at the very end it was like, we had too many threads and we can't tie it up well. And everyone's like, all of our theories are better than the actual show. And so that's why like I didn't want to do this Attack on Titan, but I knew he had written it from the beginning to the end. And so I was like, this is going to be different than what, George R.R. Martin still hasn't finished the ending for. This is going to be different than what J.J. Abrams didn't have the ending in sight yet for it.
Yeah.
This is going to be something where it is going to tie into the beginning. It's all going to flesh itself out. And we hope we love it. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes down. I mean, it's like a novel. Like this, I know I've said this before. One of the reasons so many movies that are based on novels turn out really good, people really enjoy them, is for this exact reason.
Yes.
Is because the story, as a novelist, you get to flesh out more details in the story. You get to like focus more on the coherency of the story itself, things like plot holes and characters and so on. And because of that, when you base a movie on that, you have a more solid foundation than just a screenplay, which is how straight to movie stories are done. It's just a screenplay, and then there's just too much room. There's too many creative inputs on a lot of movies for the movies to turn out good. I mean, listen, I know people like Marvel. There's just Marvel is like the height of mediocrity to me, meaning like it is just good enough and nothing more, like not an ounce more than good enough to be like kind of, I like it to keep me like entertained. Like I'll watch the whole thing and it's kind of like I'll laugh a few times, but it is so utterly middle of the
white
road.
bread.
Yeah, and like it's not like there's
plain noodles.
Part of
with
the
butter.
problem is that it's such a big there's so much money and there's so many brains and so many leaders and so many artists. There's so many people involved and so many people have a say in how the project turns out that you don't have one creative mind crafting the whole thing and putting the whole thing together, and what you end up with is mediocrity. Like it's okay.
That's why the books are better than the movies. It's why the comics are better, is because the same writer has been writing the same Spider-Man comic and the same arc for 20 years, and he knows it inside and out. He's lived it, breathed it, and can conceive it. And it's not 10 other directors having their say on his vision.
Right. Jurassic Park's like always one of my all-time favorite movies, but part of the reason it's so good and why the sequels suck is because it's based on a novel, right? But it's based on a novel that was done, like, Michael Crichton is kind of a genius. So we're clear. Like, if you don't know who he is, like, just go look him up, go read some of his stuff. He's actually really bright, and he does real science fiction. You know, it's Tom Clancy, right? So Tom Clancy would go and do like all kinds of homework on like how military stuff and CIA stuff would work, and then he would write his novel based on reality, and it was so close to reality, right? He gets contacted by actual military people, like, how did you know that? And he's like, I didn't. I just sort of put stuff together, like, and it's a similar like Michael Crichton, like, writing science fiction is so in tune with like how like actual scientific theories and so Interstellar, they're so in tune with that, and then you write a complete beginning to end story based on that, and then you flesh out, then you put it to a movie. Now with Attack on Titan, it's the same thing but just longer arc. It's a manga, right? It's a book first. It's written by one person, written beginning to end first, and then put it all together. That is, I just feel like, how can that not be the new standard, except for the fact that I'm so used to Marvel type bullcrap where there is no, like, nothing golden in there anymore, that I'm like, I guess that's what I have to put up with. But like,
no.
That's
why we're going to make something cool.
We're gonna.
Yeah. Okay, you want to do one more email?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do one.
This is from Joe. This is a pretty good one. He said, hope you guys are doing well. You mentioned last week that you only knew of one Jeagerist left, and I would like to put in my 2 cents.
Let's hear it.
I would still call myself a Jeagerist at this point. The show has shown me no evidence of the world trying to work to understand and changing their racist ways.
Agreed.
The guards in Liberio, who were nice to Falco and the crew, were still holding people against their will in an internment zone.
They are the same guards.
The Azumabito clan was nice to the island only because they were trying to use that relationship to gain something. Regardless of the scenarios we come to up within our heads, the show has presented Eren with 3 options. Die, become sterile and die, or fight back. I'm not mad at him for choosing the option he chose. He could still use a founder's powers to make all Eldians immortal while the rumbling is going on. Oh, interesting.
That's a new one. I like it.
So there's that. There's another separate note here that I want to get into. Okay. But just the fact that he's making a good point, right?
Yes.
We've said that Eren is somewhat justified for his reaction. He's just not justified for killing everybody.
It's the scale, that we have a problem with. And that I have a problem with. I don't want to speak for everybody, but like, you're right in that, like, mounting a defense. I wanted Armin's plan to be the actual plan, to be the, like, hey, we set up this, like, perimeter around the island of freaking Titans, and we're, like, ready to do this thing. And or we go on the offensive against Marley, specifically take out military targets, do it as a ethical war if as much as is within our power, right? I didn't think that was going to happen, and of course it didn't. It's the scale. It's the, you know what? Whether you had anything to do with this or not, I'm just going to flatten the entire world.
Yeah.
Now, again, to be fair to Eren, we haven't actually, that hasn't actually played out yet either.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is why I'm still open. I'm kind of going, well,
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. We haven't seen a single Titan step on a single person yet.
Except on the island.
Of Eldian
Oh,
as
that's
they're walking
true.
out, yeah.
Dang. Okay. I'll take it back.
Also, Eren could have done, like, an Easter Island thing, except with massive colossal Titans, and just put them around the entire edge of the island, facing outward, and if anyone approached, they could just...
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
Has
know.
anyone checked the... Oh, no, they are at the port. I was going to say, has
already
anyone
left.
checked the
They
edges of
left
the
the
island?
island.
Okay. All right. I was like,
But
somebody needs to find out.
This is why it's good writing. It's because we know the actions he's making are not justified, but his thought process it makes sense. That's what a good villain does. You go, I understand his motivation. he's wrong.
Yeah.
But I understand it. And so this is why.
If he's a villain, I'm still, at least partially. He's at least a anti-hero of some kind.
I still hope he's Batman.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. We appreciate that. That was a good observation. We know 2 Jaegerists now. On a separate note, I love Flock. He loves Flock. Why? Because Flock is the traditional chicken shit heel, which is the archetype that I've been in love with since my first days of watching pro wrestling.
Oh, totally.
So if you understand like what a baby face is, what a heel is, a baby face is the eternal good guy, the optimist, right? The shiny, bright, happy guy, go lucky. All the kids love him, and then you need an enemy for him, okay? And the enemy needs to be this spineless coward who just keeps happening to cheat to get one over on the good guy, and you hate him for it. Nowadays we have this gray scale of good guys and bad guys, and everyone's kind of a good guy but also kind of a bad guy, and even the bad guys are cool bad guys. They wear leather jackets and they talk tough, and you're like, and that kind of was
like the sniveling bad guys that they actually would be.
Yes, because guess what, if you like the bad guy, he's not the bad guy, he's an anti-hero, and that's what we have nowadays is in pro wrestling, a lot of anti-heroes. But there is the occasional chicken shit heel, as they would say, as someone who's everyone hates him. Everyone hates him. And he goes, I think the fact that everyone I know hates Flock means he's extremely well-written character. He's an absolute piece of shit, and I was very sad when he dies because Flock is the devil I need.
Oh, yeah.
He's the one who draws everyone.
He is the actual devil that
MJF is a modern day heel. Everyone else is just I'm kind of cool to sell t-shirts. I'm kind of cool, but I'm also kind of bad, the bad guy or whatever. It's none of them are willing to embrace being an absolute piece of trash and being a complete coward and not being cool and not being strong, being weak and being a freaking punk and running away and being a coward.
They don't want to play their part.
They don't want to play the part because it's so debilitating. But when you do that, everyone actually hates you. They actually want to see you get beat. They actually want to pay the tickets or whatever.
Oh, totally.
That's the true art. And so Flock really is that. Nobody's sad. If he gets his face kicked in.
No, there's something we want to be irritated. I've tried to make this point. I'm never good at explaining it, but there's something inside of humans we want to be irritated by stuff. Why else would you read about politics? This is legitimately there's a reason that the most popular articles that get the most clicks on a daily basis are so and so did this ridiculous thing. They said this. Can you believe it? They're at the kind of outrage, but it's we want to be irritated by stuff. And so having a character who is the person I want to be irritated by is indeed genius. It's just more evidence. Okay, I think we went super long.
We did.
Okay,
it's almost 7:30.
All right, we need to get off.
You guys are rocking in the chat. Come join us. We appreciate you guys, and we will catch you next week.
Next week, same Titan time, same Titan
place
/channel. Okay, we'll see you there.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Hey guys, thanks again for watching and listening to our show, Beyond the Basement Podcast. If y'all are enjoying it, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or wherever else you listen to our show. Check out the description below for links to our awesome Attack on Titan merchandise. And join us live on Sunday nights on Facebook for all of Season 4. And some of our best content is on YouTube, including me, so go ahead and check that out. And lastly, if you guys have any questions or just want to chat with us, please email us at beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys in the next video.